Let's see if we can do this both on the simulcast. All right, here we go. And we are live for those who are able to see my screwed up setup on YouTube. We're live on TikTok and YouTube here. We tackled this question earlier. We're going to try it again. Do you believe President Trump is the GOAT? Is the fucking GOAT? That's the question we're asking today. And we'll start it out from there. We talked about this earlier. Good afternoon or good evening, Mr. Robinson 80. You guys filter in. I'm asking this question because it's very common on my broadcast to hear folks tell me that they believe Trump is the best president of all time. Best president in United States history. It's not uncommon for folks to tell me that. So I have to ask that question. Do you believe President Trump is indeed the GOAT? Best president ever? If not, is he in your top five? Is he in your top five? And if so, feel free to elaborate. I want to know where the viewer's mindset is. We talked about this earlier. Lucifer, the rising sun. What the hell? That is one hell of a name. You do believe President Trump, number 45, is indeed the best president in United States history. I'm going to ask the question I asked before on the earlier broadcast. Give me your spiel give me some legislation. What do you believe about Trump? Even if it's just one thing, give me something that Trump has done for this country that makes you think he is by far the best president in United States history, which is what you're suggesting. Number two, Don 1964, you're saying number two, and you're suggesting that Ronald Reagan is indeed the best president in your opinion, and Trump is second? Trump is second. What about Washington? Lincoln? JFK? Come on now, work with me, folks. I'm not, like I always say, we're not judging anyone. No snowflakes in here. Say what the fuck, say how the hell you want to talk. We're fine with that. But I want to know what makes you guys say that. What do you believe Trump has done legislative-wise to put him on top of the heap, or in your case, Don, very close, number two, right behind Reagan? College Shields basketball tournament, I am not going to be there. Are you suggesting that your humble correspondent has something to do with that? Donna Russo, 78, you're saying no, you do not think that Trump is the GOAT. Nationally, when you factor in all constituents, left, right, and independent, I think your comment probably would be closer to the way the nation thinks. But make no mistake about it, the preferred audience is certainly MAGA in here and maybe a little different. Yes, we need him in Australia. Wow, Ricky Jackson. I'm a former Queensland resident. I used to live in the Brisbane area, Coorparoo to be exact, the suburb of Coorparoo, Highgate Hill. I lived in Kangaroo Point for a while. I don't know if Trump would be suitable for Australian politics. And for a short period of time, I used to call into their AM station there as well and talk about Australian politics. I never got really educated in it, but I was trying. I was only there for 5 years. But I don't know if Australia would be ready for Trump. He's a joke, says, what did I say, G-Tear head, you believe that Trump is a joke. I don't know. In my opinion, if you reach the pinnacle of success, if you reach the highest office in the land, regardless if you're right or left, we're not here to debate, what side of the aisle. If you reach that position, it's hard for me to think of you as being a joke. Well under 1% of us have the capabilities to reach it that high. I just can't see it being a joke. That's a serious accomplishment. What? How? Elope 415. You see the comments coming in. I asked, do you believe, that's the question of the evening, do you believe Trump is indeed the greatest president in American history? There are folks who do believe that. I'm not asking that in a vacuum. I'm asking that because it is very common on my broadcast for folks to suggest that. That is why I'm asking that. Okay, he is, exactly, right after your comment, elope. Here is Jerry Wilson, 658, and his words are as simple and straight to the point as possible. He is. That's it. He is. Jerry Wilson, 658, believes President Trump is the GOAT, greatest of all time. Go away. That's the best thing he did, says G. Terry Head. Wow, you guys go back and forth. This is pretty interesting. Big Truck Driver number 8, good evening to you as well. As always, folks, feel free to tap the screen, get my likes up. We're doing a simulcast here for any of you who are concerned. If you are a YouTuber, the Handsome Liberal on YouTube, this broadcast is actually being simultaneously broadcast there on YouTube as well. So if I don't see your question here and you happen to go on YouTube, I might actually see it there. General Mudd, best liar. So I'm assuming you're suggesting that President Trump was highly untrustworthy. Am I correct in suggesting that? You said best liar. Wow. Don 1964, in my life. Now, the in my lifetime comment, that's a little bit different because a lot of folks are saying that, and you're not the only one I've heard say that, Don, that no, he may not be the best, but he's the best guy I've ever voted on. Most of us, let's say you're 60 years of age or younger. You probably go back to the Carter administration, maybe Gerald Ford, and from that point on. So in that span of time, I could see the comment best president in my lifetime because Republican-wise. Now, what about Ronald Reagan? I mean, seriously, I've heard a lot of folks suggest President Trump being the GOAT. What about Reagan? Reagan was quite, he was a heavy favorite of the Republican Party until Trump came along. Do you guys, out of the folks that are here tuning in right now, how many of you think that Trump was a better president than Ronald Reagan? I'm curious about that because Reagan was heavily favored in all of that. And all of a sudden Trump comes along and they're giving him best of all time. He keeps God in the White House, says Donna Russo. What about the former presidents? You don't think that Bill Clinton was religious? What about Joe Biden? Joe Biden attends mass. You think Joe Biden does not have God in the White House? I understand Barack Obama. You guys think a little different. Whatever. He obviously came up in a Baptist church in Chicago, but I know some of you guys try to tie him to Middle Eastern religions or whatever. But what about Clinton? George W. Bush was certainly religious. You're saying that Trump keeps God in the White House. What about these other guys? He is not. I repeat, he is not a leader, says Charles Walker, 85880. Wow, how could, I don't know. Listen, I'm not here to pose as MAGA. I'm not here to judge your comments. But you don't think that Trump is a leader at all? Really? Wow, that's pretty harsh. Pretty harsh. But no judging. Lucifer the Rising Sun, he lowered the cost of diabetic supplies, healed a lot of repercussion from the 94 crime bill. I'm aware of the diabetic supplies issue you talked about, but in regards to the 94 crime bill, as far as I'm concerned, he gave that more lip service than actual legislation. But you can correct me, like I always say, feel free to tell me where to F off. I'm fine with that. But elaborate on it. I want to know why you're suggesting, or what did he do? What did he do exactly when you state that he healed repercussions from the 94 crime bill? I'd be curious to know. Clinton, you think Clinton was the GOAT? Breathe, what does that say? Breath New 27. You think Clinton, thank you for those roses, Katie. Good evening to you. Appreciate that. You think Clinton was the greatest of all time? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Are you down with the head scheme? Shout out to Monica. No, Bill Clinton, really. Bill Clinton. I want to know why. Trump and Ronald Reagan, jarred the man. You're saying both President Trump and Ronald Reagan were two of the worst presidents in U.S. history. So obviously you're far to the left. Hey, listen, I don't hide my name. Obviously, I don't hide my political aspirations. But Reagan, the worst? Reagan? Defeated the Soviet Union? Reagan? I don't see that. My opinion. You can tell, like I said, you can tell me where you think I got it wrong. Trump did nothing for the country. Nothing, says Scott GMC. I'm curious if someone tuning into the broadcast right now, what would be your response to someone like Scott in the comments right now saying that Trump did absolutely nothing for this nation? I'd be curious to see how you guys felt about that. That's a pretty strong rebuke. Stephen Bullock, welcome back, frequent viewer to the program. Did anyone ever see Trump's bigly healthcare plan? That's a direct strike. Obviously, he suggested that he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. That clearly never happened. In regards to the promises made and promises kept, repealing and replacing Obamacare is not in there. Obviously, John McCain walked up to the podium and gave a thumbs down and shot down any aspirations of that happening. So that is a legitimate point to be made. Let me get my monitor going here. Reagan is one of them. So when you say Reagan is one of them, are you suggesting that Reagan is one of the best presidents, one of the GOATs? Or are you suggesting that you're not a big fan of Reagan? That came from Elope 415. No, they weren't. Mary Carrero, when you say no, they weren't, what do you mean? I may be behind in your comment. Remember, we're asking the question. Do you believe Trump is the GOAT? The best president in U.S. history. GOAT, obviously standing for greatest of all time. What do you think of that? Okay, let me see here. The GOAT. I mean, like Tom Brady type shit, Michael Jordan type shit. The GOAT, the greatest of all time. Now, he only served one term, obviously, but that's a hell of an accolade to give somebody who only served one term. Now, and I understand the audience I'm talking to. I understand. You guys don't believe he lost the second term. That's fine. I'm just simply saying the GOAT is a hell of an accolade to give him. I thought Bush was an idiot until I heard Trump speak. Wow. That came from Captain Proton, number 7. I like the name. Wow. So you don't think that Trump was an effective speaker? Listen, in regards to Trump, when you take someone like myself, and I don't hide my name, I agree that Trump was probably not the best in front of the microphone. I do strongly believe that his policies, his economic achievements were fantastic for the country. But I am willing to agree with you that he probably wasn't the best speaker, because at the end of the day, the reason he's not in office, if you ask someone who does think that Biden won, it is the mean tweets and the insults. And that's obviously language coming from there. Trump is not a religious man. He is an opportunist, narcissist, sociopathic con man, feeding his ego. Evilish grin. Tell us how you really feel this evening. Oh my God, just daggers. Daggers through the heart. Jeez, like a vampire out in the daytime. That was horrible. That was pretty strong language. Okay. All right. So you think Trump is not a religious man. In regards to Trump not being a religious man, isn't that true? I don't recall Trump being very religious either. So the first part of that, I would have to say true. In regards to is Trump an opportunist? Well, as a real estate mogul, as a television personality, now that's different from being a politician. But as a real estate mogul and a television personality, there's probably some truth to being an opportunist, because those fields, in those particular career fields, most of those individuals are opportunists. That's different from his political aspirations, though. And narcissistic, I don't think there's hardly anybody that does not think he's kind of narcissistic. They used to say the same about Obama. A sociopathic con man, and that's a whole different, I can't even go into that. Wow. And of course, feeding his ego. The guy has a big ego. He's cocky, yeah. But what if he's cocky, but he's actually getting shit done? Might some say that he has a right to be a bit cocky if he's actually accomplishing things? That's my take on it. Facts don't care about your feelings. Clinton had the most economic IC growth, and that came from Winder 283. No doubt that the Clinton administration, their presidency was successful. There's no doubt about that. I just question whether you believe he is the greatest of all time. But I do believe that the Clinton presidency was a successful presidency. Piano Man, Trump, Putin, dictators, we won't tolerate. You're putting Putin and Trump in the same category together. That's a bit strong. I want you to elaborate on that. Give me some, and it's not just you, anyone out there that wants to elaborate. Give me some similarities between President Trump and Vladimir Putin in regards to running the nation. I'm really curious about that. I assume there may be some connections you could make, but I want to hear from you guys. Carter was the worst, but Biden said, oh my beer. Keith Sr., shit. Let me just say, the jury on Biden is still out. But I'm not going to pretend like Biden has been doing a great job. I don't think even most liberals favor the job that Biden has been doing so far. We can spice it up because we don't want to have a liberal president looking bad right before the midterms. So we can spin some stuff. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of liberal, Democratic, progressive buyer's remorse on President Biden. Particularly when you talk about the squad, the AOC types, they're not very happy with him. So I'm not going to dispel your comment. Stephen Bullock, Reagan was horrible for social programs. I know the audience I'm talking to, but I'm going to say this shit anyway. Most conservatives are horrible for social programs. They are a party of self-reliance. They don't believe in handouts. I mean, that's just the way it is. So when you say Reagan was horrible for social programs, you could argue that George W. Bush wasn't big on social programs, and obviously neither is President Trump. And President Trump, by the way, is not necessarily a strong right-winger. He really should have probably ran as an independent, but you do need access to the Republican or Democratic coffers because running in this country is all about money. And you can't do it without a substantial treasure chest. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is not a liberal, but he had to run that way to get access to the money. So I understand that comment. I like mayo. Lucas, are we talking about mayonnaise? What do you mean I like mayo? Mark Hoggins, what does that say? It's Mark Hoggins there. What about the fuel prices alone? They suck. They absolutely suck. And I'm not here to pretend like I said, I'm not giving Biden any extra credit. Right now, the economic numbers under Biden are horrendous. America first always. Sucio 1505. Well, that certainly has gained a hell of a lot of popularity since the Trump administration. A lot of us would argue that it needs to continue, but let's see. You don't know what's down the pipe. Do you believe Biden? President Biden, the current leader, current commander-in-chief, do you believe President Biden is an America first president? Oh, don't throw the tomatoes too hard. I had to ask. Do you believe Biden is an America first president? I want to know that. AOC for president. You're trying to get thrown completely out the club talking like that. What is that, Lars? I don't see, what is that, says Lars Sear something? No. Well, first of all, AOC is not old enough, but her policies are too far to the left. That's not to say 5 years, 10 years from now, that she may not start to look more desirable to the American public. Now, remember, most progressives, the folks who lean far left like AOC are probably under 40. They're at the age where they're not heavily involved in politics. But as they age, you might start seeing a little bit more of America leans towards AOC. I don't know. I'm not a huge AOC fan, but keep in mind, she patterns herself after Bernie Sanders, and there was a lot of support for Bernie Sanders. So don't rule out a potential candidacy, if I can say it right, of AOC in the future. She's still too young to even run at this point, but don't rule her out. And I understand the audience I'm talking to. You probably like you fuck with you're off your mind, but don't rule her out completely. Trump was the best president. What we have now is weakness and a disaster. You know, HR 19803. In regards to Trump, or better yet, Biden, in Biden being a weak leader, what about his assistance to the Ukrainians? I have to ask that. And I'm asking that because at this point, Vladimir Putin has actually made threats. He has suggested that if America continues sending high-tech weaponry to the Ukrainians, we could face what his term is, this is a quote, unpredictable consequences. That is what the Russian government released to us. So that's a clear-cut threat. Biden received the threat and announced that he's going to continue sending assistance to the Ukrainians. That doesn't fit the category of a weak leader. A weak leader would have backed down. I mean, after all, Russia has well over, a couple thousand atomic weapons. A weak leader would have backed down. He didn't back down. So it doesn't completely fit the narrative that Biden is a weak leader. Trump is Trump is a good president. He was a great president when he said he got it done. Trump was a peacemaker. I disagree with that. I do understand the point about promises made, promises kept. Most of the stuff that Trump promised, he did indeed either keep his promises or work really hard to make those promises come true. Even up to draining the swamp and repealing and replacing Obamacare. He didn't successfully do it, but he certainly was trying. So It ain't like you got what you got what you voted for from Trump. He was fairly straightforward. However, when you say Trump was a peacetime president, when he took office, the Russians were in Syria, and he had to send. He sent over what 59 tomahawks or whatever in case you want. I mean, he was peace. He was ruling during peacetime, but it wasn't like folks were just running from him. I mean, remember, he invited Kim Jong-un to the White House. Kim Jong-un went back home in North Korea, and within 6 months, he was back doing the same shit. So keep that in mind. I think there should be a Republican president and Democratic vice president or vice versa. Scott Bush, they would get nothing done. Can you imagine Trump as president and Kamala Harris as VP? What the hell are they going to accomplish? They would be in the White House trying to kick each other's ass. It wouldn't work. There's too much clashing. How could you? I mean, I get what you're saying. You're trying to balance things out, but it ain't going to happen that way. It ain't going to happen that way. Biden didn't create jobs. The jobs just returned after the lockdowns. One dark screen. I agree with that. Agree with it 100%. However, I must say, when shit happens under your watch, you're responsible for that shit. Okay, let's take your word. Biden didn't create the jobs. The pandemic came to an end and the jobs came back. If the pandemic had Alphaville, thank you, appreciate that. If the pandemic had come to an end and those jobs had not come back, you'd be blaming Biden for it. So if the jobs do come back, it's happening under his watch. He gets credit for it. I get your point of progression. I agree with you. However, like I say all the time, if it happens during your watch, you are responsible for it. I mean, the same thing with you're giving Trump credit that there was no wars taking place. A lot of the tyrants of the world were not aggressive during Trump's watch. If one of them had been aggressive, a lot of us would be giving him, chastising him for it happening. Because it didn't happen, we're giving him credit. Does that mean does that mean all of these world leaders fear Trump and they decide to hold shit off because of Trump? No, we don't know that. But I'm just simply saying, when you are in charge, what happens under your watch, you get credit for it or you get criticism for it. You don't get and it's something I used to hate with the Trump administration. When Trump was president, all of the crime in liberal cities, remember Black Lives Matter in the summer of 2020, rioting and looting all over the damn place? It was everybody else's fault but Trump. It was the liberal mayors, the liberal governors, low crime, they weren't being tough on crime, everything but the president. The minute Biden got elected, it suddenly became the president's fault too. That's what I'm talking about. That's the blame game. Biden is a joke, says Fox the Doggo. I'll elaborate on it. And from what measure do you believe Biden is a joke? Let me say this. For European members of NATO, I think they prefer Biden over Trump. For Canada, Rome, Angela Merkel in Germany, what is the guy, that Franco, I can't think of the guy right now, that just won re-election in France. I bet you they like Biden more than Trump because Trump was getting in fights with all of those folks. So when you say Trump is a joke, I have to ask to whom? I'm not here to put Trump down. Like I said, no judging, no snowflakes on. You see the sign. But I'm going to tell you, when you say that Trump was a joke, or Trump was stronger, or Biden was a joke, or that Trump projected strip worldwide better than Biden, it really depends on where you're looking. There are a lot of countries out there that like us, America, under a Biden rule than they do under Trump. One main reason is because Trump was talking about getting us out of NATO. There is no denying that the European Union would be weaker if we removed ourselves from NATO. Now, I understand why Trump wanted them to pay their fair share in terms of their military budget. I'm not disagreeing with what he was trying to do. I'm just going to make it clear that for that part of the world, they would have been significantly weaker militarily had Trump got his wish. And there's no denying that Vladimir Putin would have been salivating. I'm not saying that Trump was trying to help Putin. I'm not pretending like Trump was kissing the ass of Putin or anything like that. I'm just going to simply say, from a Vladimir Putin standpoint, you would prefer America exiting from NATO than being part of it. Because what he's doing now in his own theater on the Eastern European continent, that is better off without the United States getting involved. So I'm going to say with a fair bit of confidence, Vladimir Putin would have preferred a second President Trump's term. Trump was a best He never sugarcoated nothing in his speech. That is a good thing and a bad thing. That got him elected in 2016 and got him terminated in 2020. That came from Wow Lin. I appreciate the comment. Captain Proton, number 7. One hidden, wait a minute, I hidden doesn't on the gas companies. I don't get your comment there. It's the wording of it. Let's see here. Why do we accept the pay to play way of voting? And that came from old and here. You know, money in politics is as old as the United States itself. I'm not here to defend it. I personally don't like it. I think it invites corruption, but money, lobbyists, all of that shit you're talking about, it is as old as the politics in this country itself. So why do we accept it? To some degree, because we always have. I mean, it's always been with us. Let me see. Somebody, my YouTube dropped there because we're doing a simulcast on YouTube. I'm going to start leaving up some of these. Some folks want to have asked, well, how can I see what you just did? Well, now it'll be on YouTube. For those few folks who want to venture back or you want to share the program or do something crazy like that, I appreciate the support from the few folks that want to do that. It will be up on YouTube. So you can go back, and it's called The Handsome Liberal. The Handsome Liberal on YouTube is the same thing. How will you support Trump when his bestie forever was Epstein? You know something, if you want to bring Epstein into the mix, shit, we shouldn't have supported Clinton. Who know? That dude has so many connections. You're talking about the late Epstein. I don't know where to go with that. I don't honestly know where to go with that. If you got rid of folks who associated with Epstein, you would probably get rid of half of Washington and most of Hollywood. I don't know where else to go with that. You talking about a monster enjoying time with a bunch of other little mini monsters. It's sad. Fortunately, we have ridded ourselves on this planet of that guy. That guy was a piece of you know what. Just look at food prices. Keith Hobbs, food prices, gas prices, price of used cars, price of new cars, price of homes. It sucks right now. It sucks right now. I'm not defending Biden with the economy. It sucks right now. Not horrendous. Jeff Clark likes trees. Jeff Clark likes. Are you suggesting that you are a tree hugger, Jeff Clark? When you say not horrendous, elaborate on that. No, you are very fair in your analysis. Thank you, Tori, Florida girl. I do appreciate that. I try to be. I make no qualms about who I am, who I absolutely prefer talking to. I like to reach across the aisle. These folks keep me on my toes. They have no problem telling me when to fuck off, and I invite that. As long as you come with your business, state your case. You can call me anything here. No snowflake zone. We will tackle any and all comments. But if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, we're gonna call you out. In fact, a lot of folks even in the comments will. Thank you for the comment. Trump cares about nobody but himself and the ultra rich. Well, you have to explain that to his constituents. It's not my place to say what Trump cares and does not care about, but obviously he has a lot of strong. I mean, Trump probably has one of the most loyal followings, and in our lifetime, I do believe Obama has a bigger following, but I believe Trump's following is far more loyal. Hell, January 6th alone, say what you want about January 6th, they was down for the program. By far, I can't think of anybody in our lifetime. Shit, you may find yourself going all the way back to Abraham Lincoln and George Washington in terms of loyal following. Maybe Eisenhower because he fought in the war. You're going to have to go back to, these folks that support Trump, these folks, it's no different than soldiers in the war following a general. The loyalty to number 45, I don't know. I haven't seen it in recent time. Nancy Pelosi gave Trump the wall money. Republicans never did anything when they had all houses. Well, some might argue that Biden is not doing anything with all houses either. He currently has all houses. One Vegas cat. So that could be said both ways. Randy. I don't know, for some reason they changed the format, but let's go ahead and make this happen. We respect Sprint. I respect Sprint too. Randy, what's going on? What's on your mind this evening?
Hey, you.
Howdy.
So I 100% agree with you. I think Trump will go down as the greatest entertainer of all time, or supporter, or whatever you call it, whatever the word is. He will definitely. I started thinking about it, like, not as. I mean, his crowds are like Michael Jackson crowds. But I'm thinking, like, I don't know anybody else even in entertainment to capture. And so I'll always give that to Donald Trump. He's a fucking buffoon. I will always be that.
Your audio is going up and down. I don't know if you're moving around, but your audio is going up and down. Try that again.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so yeah, I all I was saying is, I agree with you. I think he's. Did you hear anything of what I said?
I heard you. I see Modern Colonizer, a frequent viewer of the program, says you got cricket phone audio. It just sounded like you were going in and out, but that's a funny comment. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
I tried to get my Obama phone last year. What are you talking about?
This audience, let me make it clear. This audience does not fuck around. They will get you. It's a bunch of snapping turtles out there. Bunch of snapping turtles. They will get you. They don't play around. What's on your mind? Now go ahead.
That was it. I saw your thing about Trump, and I'm not going to entertain that. I just wanted to say that really quick since I was scrolling through. Oh, and I got a bone to pick with you. So the other day, you let a woman named Red Pill completely tell you some bullshit that Joe Biden was Joe Biden's babysitter and had an affair before his wife and daughter died. Why did you go let this woman say this nonsense?
No. I made it clear that that was the first I heard of that. She suggested that President Biden slept with his babysitter, which was the first lady. She was his babysitter or something at first, and that's how they developed the relationship. I made it clear. I was like, yeah, I had never heard that before, and I asked the audience, and I got mixed reviews from them. I had never heard of that, but the question is, when you factor in how long President Biden has been with Jill Biden, it's like, okay, you're gonna blame him for an affair that happened almost 50 years ago? I don't know, but I had never heard of that. That was something that kind of caught me off guard. And I'll ask you guys now, right now, folks, the ones who are watching this, have you heard anything about Jill Biden, the current first lady, her and President Biden getting together, whereas the first lady was originally his babysitter, and President Biden was with another woman and cheated on his wife with the babysitter, the current first lady, and that's how their relationship happened. Have any of you guys heard that? I had never heard that before. So, like I said, I don't know where that came from.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
This is crazy.
It is crazy. Hey, well, look, I got somebody else I want to get in here as well.
I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, anytime. Come on back through. Okay, what is that? Who was that had the? Okay, Keystone Killer. Now, with a name like Keystone Killer, I don't know where this guest is coming from, but we got to find out. Speak to me, Keystone. What's on your mind?
All right, coughing.
Talk to me. What's up?
First of all, I'm an independent, and every one of these guys are dirty. I mean, it doesn't matter who you like. It takes too much money to become president to not be dirty. They all got bankrolls and stuff like that.
Let me interrupt you real quick. And I heard you're not going anywhere, but George Cherry, one of the viewers, said Trump is a dolt. Delta Oscar Lima Tango. What is a dolt? What you're suggesting here, Keystone, is that there is so much money needed in politics that anybody who wins and makes it to the White House has favors they owe out, thereby making them corrupt. Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. There's no way they make it.
Okay.
You know, and Trump ran on the thing that I'm independent and I don't owe any favors. That's complete fucking horseshit.
Give me a letter grade. In your humble opinion, if you had to give number 45, President Trump, a letter grade, what would you give him? A, B, C, D, or F?
Like a report card?
Yeah. Like a traditional report card, not all of this cancel culture bullshit, like a traditional report. You know, we used to get A through F, now they give them all kinds of crazy shit, but go ahead.
No, I'd give him a solid B.
That's good. That's not, for what you're saying, a B grade is not bad.
Right.
Solid B, okay. What would you give Biden so far? I dare venture into this territory, but what would you give Biden?
Yeah.
F. Okay.
F.
Obama.
B.
George W.
Oh, C.
Okay, all right. You clearly are an independent. You're not. Yeah. Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
I'm real.
Huh?
I'm real.
Yeah, I
I'm saying
appreciate.
I'm real about it.
Yeah. So so I'm assuming your tenants as an independent. I'm assuming you would lean more right than left, because most independents. Well, when you say independent, are you talking libertarian type or just straight independent?
Just independent. I like to stay in my lane.
Okay, fair.
You know, I do things right. You know, as far as my freedom of speech, my gun rights, my I don't know. There's some more in there, but you know, them are the big ones.
Okay, well, I believe, based on the letter grace you gave for the previous 4 commanders in chief, it's pretty clear you are an independent. You don't get a lot of folks that would give Trump and Obama a B or a very similar grade. This audience, they're not going to give Obama high grades at the same time. So yeah, that definitely shows that you're middle of the ground. I guess I'd ask. You don't have to answer this. Did you support Obama? If you don't want to answer it, I'm fine with that. Nobody has to tell who they voted for. But did you support Obama or McCain and Romney, or a combination?
I supported Obama in a lot of ways, and the one thing that I can say is Obama is one of the greatest speakers of our time.
I certainly would agree when you compare him to Biden. Biden's speech is all over the place. Trump's speech is insulting deliberately. Bush's speech was questionable. So yeah, I would certainly say in our lifetime, but yeah, Obama probably was the best orator. I mean, because my lifetime, we're talking Carter. Well, Reagan wasn't a bad speaker, but yeah, I would state that I believe
Reagan
that.
was solid.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that.
Reagan was solid.
Fair enough. Okay, well, like I said, come through anytime. I got another person I want to get in, but a B on both. That's a true independent, man. Appreciate you calling in.
No.
All right. Okay, let's see here. Modern colonizer, the man of the hour. With a name like Modern Colonizer, we know where we going, but let's talk it out. What's going on with you this evening, man? How you doing?
Hey, good evening, brother. How you doing? I'm doing all right.
I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
Hey, when you brought in letter grades, man, I was like, I want to play the game too.
Okay. Let's start out with Trump. Let's go through it. We got to go with the man of the hour, obviously the man on the monitor. What letter grade would you give Trump for his 4 years? And folks in the audience, I would love to know what letter grade you would give Trump as well. You can list them out. I want the last 4 guys. We're talking. Well, the current guy, Biden. We already know the grades for Biden are going to be atrocious. But we want to talk about Trump, Obama, and George W. Feel free to. Damn, somebody put an F minus in there. Holy shit. Go ahead, Modern Colin. Starting with Trump, what letter grade would you give Trump?
I give him a B minus. He got all of the homework done with good points, but the teacher and the class were ready to see him go. You know what I mean?
Okay. Let's go with Obama.
I'm going to give Obama right in that B minus, B, right in that area. And then,
George.
yes, the last,
George.
I support Obama.
So you're giving both Trump and Obama very similar marks.
Right. I think if Trump had shut his mouth, he would have moved into the A category and been reelected. For Obama, I think my only criticism, and this segues into the did I support Obama? Not at the time, but now looking back on history, yes. And for Obama, had he done something along the lines of crush the mass surveillance program, he'd get an A fucking plus.
Wow. George W.
Well, I mean,
George W. Last one. George W.
Real quick, one more thing on Obama. I think a lot of people on both sides have just been convinced, like on the right, that the richest, most powerful country in the world can't afford health care for everybody, right? It's bullshit, right? We can't.
Oh, you leaning. Are you left? You leaning. I hearing it. Are you going left on me? I thought you were right. Tell me where you at on the political scale.
I'm a libertarian, and
Okay,
that
all right.
puts me in that right.
A libertarian that supports a social issue. JP Parker. Thank you for the roses. Let me just read something real quick. Somebody put on YouTube. Aloha. Let me say. Of course, Trump is the GOAT. He took $1 for pay. He brought us all jobs. He got prison reform done. He forced the EU to pay its fair share in UN and NATO. I think you're giving Trump some accolades that he wanted to do, but he did not complete. And this is from YouTube, and every single attack and accusation made against the guy has been proven false. In his grades was Biden a D. That's actually better in this crowd. Trump an A, Obama a C, and Bush a C. That's from YouTube. That's Salvage One Business Life Event. Okay. All right. So what were you saying? Go ahead, Mater.
No, even though I'm a libertarian, there's some. You got to face the facts. The way the country is, the way the world is. Healthcare is going to be at least government has its hand in regulating it, and
Okay.
it will. You know what I mean? So that being acknowledged, we absolutely do need healthcare reform. What the answer to that is, I'm glad that's above my pay grade, but I do know that poor people don't need to be dying because they can't afford insulin. You know what I mean? So that, and we're wealthy enough for it. So, anyways, I'm just saying, a lot of people on the right would criticize Obamacare.
Absolutely, yeah, you would be criticized.
Even Trump, when he got in, said, "Damn, who knew this was this complicated?" Right? Like, it's a tough thing, right?
Obama.
Anyway.
To elaborate on that real quick, Obama warned Trump of that. He actually said that. He was like, "You're making all these promises." I believe Obama said that on one of the news wires. He said that it's easy to promise this stuff. He said when you get in office and you actually try to do it, you're going to find out it's a lot harder. And damn that actually come true, because I believe John McCain is the reason why Trump could not successfully repeal and replace Obamacare. John McCain got in the way of that, and he had a beef with John McCain well after his death because of that.
Right, and so not to beat a dead horse, but my only criticism of Obama looking back in history is that he upped the mass surveillance program rather than crush it.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to Bush, and I give Bush an F.
Wow, George W. Bush. You give him a flat-out F.
Flat-out F.
Wow.
And the reason for that is that I think he genuinely loves America. I think he genuinely does love America. But I think there were things that he did that were as un-American as we get. The mass surveillance program. Okay?
This is wait. Who are we talking about? Bush?
Bush.
You talking about the Patriot Act?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
That is Bush and Cheney's baby, and that is the most un-American thing we could ever do. I don't know this is a fact, but Edward Snowden said there's like 1 or 2 terrorist plots that were actually stopped using Patriot Act information, and they would have been stopped anyways.
Shit,
right?
they use most of the Patriot. I agree with you, even though I'm obviously not a libertarian, I'm a liberal, but I agree with you that the Patriot Act was about as unconstitutional as they come. And most of that shit they've ended up using, they've twisted and tied it, kind of like the RICO Act, and they're using most of that shit against American citizens to effect arrest. Prosecutors are twisting and turning his Patriot Act to go after drug dealers and American criminals. So the Patriot Act, although it was chided as a way to get terrorism, to get terrorists, for the most part, it's going after other Americans, American criminals. That's who's getting caught up with that Patriot Act.
Right, and then the other reason I give Bush the F is the financial crisis. What would he have done with another year or 2 in office? I don't know, but the idea, because it's kind of hard to judge anybody on this because the transition between him and Obama, but the idea that you're going to do that much harm to the average American and not one person went to jail. And that right there, I mean, look at how people, real quick, just look at how many people, like, who are in my parents' shoes went from I'm about to retire in 5 years to I don't know when I'm going to retire.
Under
That's my whole
George W.
retirement.
Bush. Under George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm curious for you guys out there watching. What do you think of George Bush? George W. Bush, the son, not H.W. from the early 90s. If in regards to giving George W. Bush a letter grade, a Republican, do you agree with this man? If you had to give him a letter grade, would you give George W. Bush an F? Now, keep in mind when Trump ran in 2016, I believe in 2015, 2016, he was going after Jeb Bush, and he was tying Jeb Bush to his brother, and Trump said the Iraq War was the worst mistake in U.S. history. So I'm going to assume that Trump probably grades him similar to you, modern colonizer. Real quick, this is something I'm getting on YouTube. Has anybody heard? Interesting factoid. This is from Salvage One Business Adventures. That's his name on YouTube. The Patriot Act bill was written by Joe Biden. Has anyone heard that? Now, even if that's true, for you to Savage One B, I'm looking at you on YouTube. Even if that is true, it was the president that it fell under. So it's still going to be credited to President Bush. But you're suggesting that the Patriot Act was written by Joe Biden. Are you suggesting that Joe Biden, as a single lone citizen, or senator rather, as a single lone senator, wrote this bill by himself? Or was this a bill he wrote in cahoots with other senators? I have never heard that Joe Biden wrote the Patriot Act, but that's an interesting factoid.
I can't swear my life on it, but I think he's confusing vice presidents. That was Dick Cheney's baby.
Okay, so you're totally in a different camp than him, because he's suggesting that it was written by Biden. You're saying it was written by, or you said it was authored by Dick Cheney. Nobody spoke positively of Dick Cheney, and obviously now with the way things are going with his daughter Liz Cheney, that saga is going to continue. And Scott GMC is stating that no, he couldn't write it by himself. He couldn't write him. Oh, wait a minute! You're saying the guy's incapable of writing out? Oh my God! In the moment, I have said an F for Bush, but after Trump set the low bar, F's okay, wait a minute. This is from Mississippi River Fishing. In the moment, I guess while Bush was president, he would have said an F for Bush. But after Trump set the low bar for F's, I'll bump Bush up to a D. Obviously, this individual is not a friend of Trump. Okay, but you gave Bush a flat out F. So I'm on a comment. Now you said you're a libertarian, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I think I inherited being a Republican, and then I kind of started listening to him talk and was like, oh shit, you guys are a little out there. And I'm not rich enough to be a Republican.
Shit. You gotta elaborate. You just stated, I am not rich enough to be a Republican. Come on now, you can't let that can't just go to these liberal ears and not follow that up. I need you to elaborate on that. What do you mean when you state that you are not rich enough? Because West Virginia, one of the poorest states in the union, is blood red, and they're quite poor. So is some of the southern states. When you say you're not rich enough to be a Republican, I need you to elaborate on that.
Well, I'm definitely too rich to be a Democrat. I'll put that there.
I get it. Tax money, entitlements, I get it. But talk to me about this Republican shit.
I think for the country, I think Republicans run a more sound fiscal policy. That being said, their policies help, the top about 10% in this country better than they do.
Well, Vado Guns in the comments corrected you. He said, no, he's not. What did he say? No, he's not dumb enough to be a Republican. So he has a different opinion in that. Okay, all right. So you do believe. Go ahead.
And I'll say, well, I just think Democrats have a very, very wacky fiscal policy.
Okay.
I think when it comes to what is better for the country as a whole, Republicans run a better fiscal policy. But for the middle class, neither party represents you. So basically, if you're middle class, you're not rich enough to be a Republican, you make too much money to be a Democrat. And that's, I think, where a lot of people fall in that category.
All right, that's a little different than what I've heard. Real Trucker Jeff said you're using liberal math. I don't know. Okay, fair enough. I just want to
No?
read a couple comments real quick here. They just cut everything except taxes for the rich. That came from Prison Michael is his name. Prison Michael. Okay, so you're suggesting that the Republicans only provide benefits for wealthy folks. So he's suggesting that they cut everything out except for tax cuts for the rich. How do you feel about that, Modern Cop? Being a libertarian, so you're not all the way on the Republican side. You're clearly not in favor of most libertarians tend to go right when it really comes down to it. But how do you feel about the claim that Trump was in favor of tax cuts for the wealthy? Do you believe that lower class Americans on the socio-economical scale benefited from Trump and those tax cuts?
Yes, and here's why. Because a poor person has never given me a job.
Ouch. Ouch.
That's just the reality of it.
That's
so as much as I don't think it's fair that people who have net worths of $100 billion aren't paying their fair share, those people need to have that greasy wallet to fund innovation and create jobs. That's just the way it is.
Kelly Cam 49 in the comments said that, she said corporations employ people. So you got folks in the comments that are right along they're speaking in the same lane as you. So never got a job from a poor person. Okay, I can't argue with that.
Tax the hell out of people under the Democrat model, the more they move those jobs overseas.
Well,
I mean, we have little or we have none. That's,
the problem is, I think that when it comes to saving money, if they can move jobs overseas and save money, they're going to do it no matter what tax cuts. At the end of the day, they're going to look at it and say, is it cheaper to have jobs here or is it cheaper to have jobs there? And if they can get people over there for $2 an hour or something crazy like that, I don't know if you can give enough tax cuts to compete with that. I mean, there's some folks, if you travel internationally hard enough to find somewhere to set up a call center or set up a plant or factory, manufacturing or something like that, there's some folks out there that will work pretty fucking cheap. And I don't know if you can give enough tax cuts to compete with that in some cases. Because these people are almost working for free by American standards. I mean, you got people who will work a job for $200 a month. I mean, what can you do to compete with that? You almost have to give them no taxes at all to keep them here.
And we almost do.
Yeah,
the tax code is broken, and it's not fair to anybody but that top, section of people. But at the end of the day, as of today, we need to make sure that the tax revenue. So I don't remember the exact math, but they said if we took every billionaire's dollar, we'd fund the federal government for less than a year, right? It's not like there's this massive amount of wealth that is keeping the country from running that these billionaires have. It's a massive amount, but it's not, like they said, it's not going to run the federal government all year, right?
Let me come at that from a liberal standpoint. There was a time where they were not making, and I know this audience ain't gonna buy this shit, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. When you go back to the day of our parents, the day of our grandparents working, the disparity between the top employee, which is CEO or whoever the hell's at the top of the company, and the guy working at the bottom was not as great as it is now. So we're saying that if you took all of their money, it would only run the country for a short period of time. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just simply saying we were able to run this country quite effectively when they made a hell of a lot less and the average working employee making a hell of a lot more. Well, back in my dad's day, for instance, you just had a Blue Cross Blue Shield card. You went to the doctor, handed it to them, and they treated you. There was no co-pays and deductibles and out-of-pocket costs and telling you got pre-existing conditions and all that bullshit. You got retirement in the form of a pension. You didn't have to gamble in the stock market like you do now with a 401k. They got a fucking turkey at Christmas time. They actually had coffee and shit. Now you got to pay for everything yourself. So I understand that you can't just go and rob the top, but the liberal in me makes me feel like the top has certainly robbed us to some degree. Am I that far off in my thinking on that?
No, and that's where I will say, so for the ones who are doing, if there's any that are doing it correctly, so long as they get into that paying the proper amount of tax, then go be a trillionaire, man, and do it, right? But you got to pay to play.
But then
I think a lot.
Then you start getting. When you start talking about paying your fair share, then you started getting accused of sounding like Bernie Sanders or somebody, though.
Well, I'm not saying if you're Elon Musk and you got a net worth of $250 billion, you need to get taxed $130 billion. That's insane, right? We don't penalize success, right? But if he's not paying somewhere around a 25 to 34%, or 37%, I think is the top tax rate, then he's not paying his fair share, right? 37%, a very high rate, but I think for that kind of ultra wealthy, 37% is not enough to make you go underground and move everything to China.
I'm really surprised. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, listen, I gotta take some of these comments. I don't want to neglect the audience, but I do appreciate it. Like I said, I always come through. I want to talk about one comment I got on here, but yeah, anytime, man. Definitely appreciate you coming through.
If I could just say one more thing, if we could go letter grade back to Clinton.
Okay. Okay.
I was a kid, didn't give him that good of a grade. I give him a B. I give Clinton a B. We'll go back in day. So,
all right. Fair enough. He did have a successful president. All right. Okay. Let me get to these comments. Appreciate you coming through. All right. Lisa Rocks. Lisa Rock said, trickle down. You're not a fan of trickle down economics. So I was trying to reach her comment verbatim, but TikTok scrolled it out the way. Wow. User 661 says Trump is a racist. You got to elaborate on something like that. You can't just throw something out there like that. Give me some examples. Give me something that makes you feel not. Well, let me not put words in your mouth. Just let me know what's making you suggest that you believe Trump is racially intolerant. Road Trucker Jeff says that high of capital gains would crush the economy. Right now, our economy's not doing very well anyway, but okay. UBI 2060, I saw your request, by the way. You dropped out. Let's see here. Salvage, One Business Adventures on YouTube. Laugh out loud. Clinton had a successful presidency because Newt Gingrich balanced the budget with him. Okay, and if Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House, balances the budget with the president, it's happening under the president's watch. No different than if President Trump balanced the budget working with, say, Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or somebody. Trump gets credit for that. You don't give all of the credit to the Speaker of the House. In fact, that's one of the reasons I make it clear why I like doing this, is because I like to be able to have a name like mine, reach out to audiences like you guys, and you know who I'm talking about. And for us to be able to, we're obviously not balancing fucking budgets, but we are able to communicate, and that's more than they're doing in Washington. So if Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich got together and balanced the budget, then Bill Clinton should get credit for that. He could do the same shit Trump, Obama, and some of the other presidents have done and not work with anybody. So the fact that Clinton did reach across the aisle and work with somebody to balance the budget, how does he not get credit for that? He would have took up deficit spending. You're saying that if he didn't balance the budget with Newt Gingrich, he would have took up deficit spending. Okay, woulda, coulda, shoulda. He didn't do it. By your own admission, he reached across the aisle, worked with a Republican, and they balanced the budget together. Bill Clinton deserves credit for that based on your statement. Let me see here. UBI, you're not overlooked this time. America needs, what did they say? America and Biden was friends with George Wallace. We know about Truth Patriot 808. Hang on, UBI. We know about Biden and George Wallace. We know about George Wallace's past. What you gotta bring up though is that George Wallace had reconciled with the African American community, the NAACP, the Jesse Jacksons and Al Sharptons, and I believe Barack Obama eulogized. Wait a minute. I'm talking about Senator Byrd. You said George Wallace. Oh shit. Okay. I didn't know that. That's something I gotta look into. Go ahead, UBI. What's up? Wow, George Wallace. Huh? What's on your mind?
I just want to say hello to my favorite audience, the Trump supporters. Well, by far the best audience. I just wanted to ask a question on taxes back. You say your grandparents were paying. I forgot what you said, but you
I said
something about.
what I said was back in the day of our parents and grandparents, the working world treated the working man better than they do now. And the reason is because they were not competing with Chinese employees, Filipino employees, and things like that. The working man in this country was treated properly. Like I said, when it came to health care, they got a medical or a health care card. There was no deductibles, co-pays, and out of pocket costs like there are now. They got pensions. They didn't have to gamble in the stock market with a 401k. They were assured a pension. Like I said, even some folks got turkeys and stuff like that at Christmas time. The employers treated the employees a lot better back in the day of our parents and grandparents. Go ahead.
Why is that? Is that because inflation was lower?
No, they were not competing with Chinese laborers. Once we allow employers to tap into these overseas markets, they no longer had to treat American employees great. They had a huge amount of manpower that would work for substantially less. So that is why the top exploded in wealth and the bottom has went down. Is because we're now competing with all of these, and this is where Trump was starting to shine. Is because he was talking about bringing those jobs back. Talking about reversing the crazy tariffs from companies like John Deere and shit like that. This is where I give Trump, even as a liberal, a lot of credit. But yeah, they didn't used to have to, we as employees did not used to have to compete with $2 and $3 an hour employees. Even with President George W. Bush, which some of the viewers have already given an F, where he was saying that, well, they'll do jobs no Americans want. There is not a damn job in this country that falls under the category of a job no American wants. The problem isn't that it's a job no American wants. The problem is it's a job that no American can afford to live off of and feed his family. Most of us will shovel shit for a living every day if it pays a decent wage. There are plumbers that have no problem going into septic tanks because plumbers make a decent wage. But I'm not going to pick oranges for 90 cents an orange or something like that. That is where the problem is. Go ahead.
So let me ask you this: what if they change that using automation to pick up, cotton and other things? And how would you combat that? Especially try to get companies back here, and they end up switching. Using automation.
That's a good question. First of all, I will say there's two things. First of all jobs can't be automated. Our immigration issues, it's right on up the ladder. Even a lot of our medical professionals, our engineers and scientists, they're even immigrants and they make less. Even though a physician makes more than some guy that is, working for minimum wage, those physicians that we migrate over here from India and places like, they still get paid less than American-born physicians. So it's happening all the way up the ladder. But in regards to automation, even if your plant gets automated, you still need engineers and technicians to fix the robots, to fix the equipment. Right now, even the folks fixing the automated equipment are immigrants. They're literally permeated throughout our employment industry. It's just immigrants everywhere because they work for less. They come over here, you give them a work visa. They're happy to be in this country where they can access those funds, and they're willing to work for 20, 30, 40% less. You give me a work visa and I get to come live in the United States and earn way more than I'm making in India or the Philippines or one of these other countries, and they come over here and they're still causing us U.S.-born citizens to compete with them, and it's reducing the salary that we earn, and it makes the top, they get bigger because they get bonuses based on, well, I've lowered the cost of labor for this country, and it's all through those work visas and all of that stuff. Go ahead.
Now, so what about those low-paying skills jobs, like, it could be cleaning or McDonald's, like those low paying skills jobs that a robot could easily do.
I don't expect you to work at. Okay, fair. Okay, first of all, I don't expect you to be talking about supporting your family off a McDonald's job. I don't believe that job was ever designed for that. That is burger flipping the definition of something that should be done by a teenager or someone that is living in a co-environment. You're living with your parents or something like that. So at that level, and by the way, you're right. Eventually, fast food restaurants are going to automate, but that's so low on the employment scale that I think it's for a different conversation. But go ahead.
Oh, so I'm guessing you don't believe in like $15 minimum wage.
No, I do believe in that. I do believe in that. But when you say $15 an hour minimum wage, there is a lot of employees in this country. Let me say this. There's a lot of employees in this country that between the burger flipper and $15 an hour, there's a host of jobs in between there. School bus drivers, CNAs, LPNs, security guards. You can't automate this stuff. You can't automate a CNA or an LPN or a school bus driver or a security guard. There is a lot of jobs in between the burger flipper and that $15 an hour salary that you probably are not going to be able to automate your way out of. So I am strongly for the $15 an hour minimum wage, but not for burger flippers. For folks that, you got truck drivers out there that don't make $15 an hour. You got folks, you go to a hotel and you catch a shuttle bus to the airport in the morning, that guy ain't making $15 an hour. You can't automate him. Not yet. We don't have vehicles that can take folks from the airport and all. Yeah, there's a whole lot of people that are making less than $15 an hour that cannot be automated. So that's where I stand on that. Appreciate the follow folks that are doing. Go ahead.
Can I grade some of the presidents?
Absolutely. And miss me, you're next. Go ahead. Let's start out with President Trump. Give me a letter grade.
With Trump, I'm gonna have to give him a B minus.
Okay. What about Obama? Because I'm surprised at how many folks in here are giving Obama the same grade they gave Trump. In this audience, that's very surprising. What do you suggest for Barack Obama?
A C plus.
There's very little difference between a C plus and a B minus. That's almost the same grade. George W. Bush.
Oh, that man has to get.
Y'all ain't got no love for Trump. Oh my God. What? This boy down in Crawford, Texas looking horrible. There's no love for George Bush in the Republican audience. What are you giving George W? I hear you moaning and groaning, but what grade are you giving George W?
George W?
Yeah.
You gotta get D minus.
D as in David.
Yeah.
So that's essentially an F. Wow. And obviously, after a year and 3-4 months, where do you putting Biden at so far? President Biden, Joseph R. Biden.
He gotta go lower than Obama.
Well, yeah, of course. But where do you put him? A through F, President Biden.
Biden, he has to get right now, C minus, and
Really?
if he by the end of his presidency, if he gets some things done, then might change.
So you lean left, obviously. You can't be in the middle, and you certainly are not right. You must lean left. C minus? C minus? Even most liberals are not giving him a C minus. That's impressive right now. I mean, we're paying a hell of a lot of money for shit. The C minus is impressive for Biden right now.
For me, inflation and gas prices are something that he has to do now because the more you wait, the more.
I'm not arguing with what you're saying. I'm arguing with the grades you're giving. I think that's kind of high. Wow, a C minus. Okay. Like a C minus is a passing grade in high school.
Man. Bob, I appreciate you bringing me on. I gotta go to work, but
anytime, man. Anytime. You have a good evening. He said he was elaborating something. I didn't mean to cut him out, but oh shit, I do apologize for that. Okay, we do got one more. Miss Me. Biden inherited a disaster, and he's made that disaster get worse, GP Captain. It's gotten worse. Okay, Miss Me, talk to me. What's on your mind?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. What's going on?
I
I'm just amazed at how people are really tooting Trump's horn. I mean, especially you. I mean, I'm really surprised. And I don't mean to make this a black and white thing,
No, okay.
but
Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
you of all people, you would think that you of all people being a black man and knowing what we as black people went through with all the savage things that those people have done to us, and then to see how he divided the country up. I mean, we've never had a more racist president in this world.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I understand what you're probably thinking, oh, well, there were plenty of other ones that was racist.
No.
What I meant to say was openly racist, okay? Openly racist.
Okay.
So it just behooves me on how you can have that type of how you can hold that MAGA hat up. I mean, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Okay, first of all, first of all, I'm going by the metrics. I'm going by the economical strength of the country under President Trump versus President Biden. I'm not, when you're talking about a skin color oriented conversation. Under President Trump, my skin color did not hinder me from doing the damn thing. I understand that the rhetoric coming out of Trump's mouth was exciting and controversial to a lot of folks. I've pointed that out several times. I even have a YouTube video designed specifically for those who claim that Trump never said anything racist. I invite you to go watch it. It's on YouTube, titled Trump Never Said Anything Racist, and I point out something he said that was incredibly racist. However, I want to make it clear to you, there is a lot of things that folks vote for, even folks of color like myself, that have nothing to do with race, because I have not faced the issues you're talking about. It is not 1800, it's not 1960. In this day and age, I'm able to get a job. I have 3 college degrees. I've never had any problems with the law. I'm just not basing my votes on yesteryear. Not to say that some of that stuff does not exist in this day and age. I didn't experience any of that from Trump himself enough to say, I'm going to throw away the good economy, the safety of the nation, the jobs he's creating, 4% unemployment rate. I understand the points you're making. I'm just going to say it does not apply to me. It does not apply to a lot of working African Americans. Go.
Well, what gets me about what you just said, sweetie.
Okay, take your time, take your time, take your time. You ain't going nowhere, take your time.
It behooves me on what would make you think that, that Jesus.
Take your time, take your time, take your time. I'm right with you. I'm not going nowhere.
I'm like, it's like, okay, if you take away the color and everything, it's just what he done to the country itself. I mean, he divided so many people. Did you see how all and don't get me wrong, I'm not a prejudiced person. I have white people in my family. I'm not a prejudiced person. I swear, I love everybody.
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you real quick. Let me interrupt you real quick and ask you one question. This was in response to one of the viewers. This came from Tommy Tron, and he's asking, what about the prison reform that President Trump was working with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West on? Do you give Trump any credit for that? He did pardon an African-American woman, Lil Wayne, if you want to throw him in there. Trump did pardon some African-Americans. Do you give Trump any credit for that at all?
It was a show, sweetie.
Let me respond to that. If I'm sitting my ass in jail and I'm not about to, I don't care if it's a show, if you're doing it for comedy, if you get me out, I don't care what reason, I'm going to give you credit for that, show or not. He got somebody out that was essentially going to do the rest of her life in prison. You don't give him any credit for that at all?
No, it was a show, if you ask me. And it was just because everybody was talking about how prejudiced he was. So he was like, I'll pluck this one little black person out. There's another little black person. Let's help this little, he finger picked. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, let me make something clear. With my name, I'm not a MAGA person. I do point out where I think Trump got things right. I think he's doing a better job than President Biden. But when you start talking about he's a show and you don't even give him credit for pardoning a woman, you kind of fit under that category where a lot of right wingers say even if he cured cancer, you wouldn't give him credit for it. He deserves credit for that. I mean, you got somebody out there who's going to spend the rest of her life in prison. He deserves credit for it. I can't believe you're going to say it's a show. So even though he essentially saved this woman's life because he did it for shits and giggles or ratings or whatever, you give him no credit for saving this woman. That is harsh. And I appreciate those. Folks, a couple of you guys sent some roses, and JP Bridge, I do appreciate that. But no credit at all, Miss Me. No credit at all for him.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Let me just ask you a question. If you have, to me, in my mind and in my thoughts, it's kind of like giving a whale a Tic Tac. If you have done so many, just jacked up things, and then you said, oh, well, I'll make this one thing right. Come on now.
Well,
come on now, let's keep it real.
I get what.
It's just the fact that.
Quill,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just responding. So Quill Lynn 44 responded with a hell of a lot of exclamation points and said, "Thank you, my sister." So you do have someone in the comments that passionately agrees with you. So was Double Luck 777 said exactly. So what you're saying, even though this audience, my favorite audience, predominantly MAGA, there's a lot of folks in the audience that what you're saying is resonating with them. All presidents have pardoned people, said an old girl. There's another person that's kind of agreeing with you. Kim Royale 127. Somebody asked me in the audience while you were talking. I saw their comment, but I didn't get a chance to get their name. But they told me to ask you, do you believe President Biden is racist or has said racial stuff that was suspect? What about President Biden? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe he is. He just is not as open. That's why I said, I know we had a lot of other racist presidents. We have. But I'm speaking on them not being as open as Trump. Trump basically did everything but grab and made a flag that said F black people. You know? he did everything but that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he didn't let anyone live in his apartments that were his condominiums or whatever that was black. You could never move in there. You know, I mean, he's done so much to black people and to separate the world themselves. You know, that's what really stands out to me. And then he lied every time he opened his mouth. He would lie, and then they would show the video of what he said, and then 2 seconds later, they would show him contradicting himself in a different video. Come on.
Well, here's where I've made it clear on here. I do believe Trump has said some suspect shit, but I think you're confusing the rhetoric with actual actions. If you want to go into and I'm talking about while president. Now, you brought up the discrimination suit he had with his apartments. That is a fact. That is part of his history, but that's not talking about President Trump. But I get what you're saying. In regards to the stuff that you're bringing up, the things of old, just like when I bring up Senator Byrd and Biden, is there a possibility that Trump, like a lot of white men that are his age, may have had a racist past and potentially evolved from it? Because I'm asking you in regards to his presidency, what do you think that Trump done while president that is racist? Give me your best spiel on what do you believe President Trump, not the real estate mogul, but President Trump. I have to ask. I want to know. The audience is watching. Give me some of your examples of what President Trump did while in office that you believe was racist. Step up to the mic. Step up to the mic.
I want to make sure that everybody hear me.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
My thing is that I can truly say this. He has never spoken out. He has never really said, when everybody was talking about how racist he was, he never spoke out and said he wasn't racist.
Is he obligated to do that? Is that something he's obligated to do? Is to do? First of all, let's be clear. Just like when I mentioned that cure cancer and not get credit. If Trump had said, "I am not in fact, he did say, "I'm the least racist person you know." So he did say that. My point I was going to make is, would that if you think Trump is a racist, would him speaking out and stating what you just suggested, would that even matter? If once you got your mind focused on somebody being something, like those who believe that AOC is a socialist, or Barack Obama was a socialist, or that Barack Obama was born in another country, he can swear up and down all day, every day. He can release political cups with his birth certificate on the back. It ain't gonna matter. Once you got your mind made up that you think Trump is a racist, he can tell you he's not a racist till he's blue in the face. Those folks are not gonna believe that. But what do you think? Go ahead.
I think he was one of the biggest racists that you can never find. And then he never look at all them messed up people that were racist that he said, oh, were very fine people. Come on now.
Ooh, you
going
going deep.
He sit up there.
Shit.
Come on, you've seen that.
Hey, I did see
Very
that.
fine
I
people.
did see that.
Yeah, come on now.
Okay.
That's one thing that will let you know how racist he is, you know. And then I'll tell you one thing. That's him stating that he's not racist. That's just like when he sat up there and told Governor Kemp, oh yeah, go on and open up Atlanta after COVID. Yeah, go ahead, hurry up, open up Atlanta. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then as soon as he got the heat put up under him talking about that was a bad idea, he threw the Kemp under the bus. Oh no, I never said that. And then they showed the video of him saying it.
Well, I'm not going to pretend like Trump has not fibbed. They all fib, and I certainly could point to things that Trump said that I strongly believe is not true. But you're in the category of saying that the guy is a outright racist. So we're trying to get you to elaborate on that. Now let me give you my side from a liberal standpoint, because you think I'm just hardcore MAGA. Go. I made it clear that when Trump said, I want a total and complete ban on all Muslims entering the country, that would fall under the category of a racist comment. Religious, however you can do it, it's protected class, because all of that's in the same amendment. Religion, race, disability, elderly or ageism, and all of that. So when he said something like that, you gotta figure that, okay, we had a lot of terrorism coming from the Middle East, but there are allies of us in the Middle East as well, like Jordanians, Kuwaitis, and things like that. So when he tried to pass a blanket piece of legislation like that, you're going to hurt innocent victims that are not among the terrorists, because you want to pass a blanket anti-Muslim bill. So I do agree that he has said some stuff that would fall under the category of being intolerant. I was not a fan of what he said about Charlottesville either. I stated that clearly. Like I said, I'm not saying that he didn't say suspect shit, which is also why I asked you about President Biden. And you did agree that he has said suspect things also. I've said on numerous broadcasts, and I'm assuming you're more of a new viewer. I haven't seen you a lot in the comments, but I've said on numerous broadcasts that the only reason Biden got elected is because he was running with the African American community, with minorities. The only reason that Biden won with minorities is because he was running against a guy that minorities thought was even worse than him. So I've spoken I've spoken in parallel to some of the things you're saying. Where I disagree with you is that because you think he is intolerant, you can't give him credit for anything, even up to and including getting folks out of prison that shouldn't be there, or giving us one of the best economies in recent years. I don't buy, because his economy benefited a lot of African Americans. His job numbers benefited a lot of African Americans. His tax cuts even if you want to say his tax cuts only helped the wealthy, there are a lot of wealthy African. You think Michael Jordan did not benefit from his tax cuts? You think Magic Johnson didn't? So I have an issue with you saying that you can't get a guy credit for anything. That's where you lose me at. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that everyone seems to think that Trump made the economy what it was. No, sweetie, it was what Obama did, and they were coming into play when Trump was in office.
So you're just not gonna get his man. You're not gonna get his man credit for anything. You're just not gonna get his man credit for.
That's the truth, though. That's the truth. It came most of those. I'm not gonna say all of them. But most of those benefits that people were getting and stuff were coming from Obama. That's where that economy came from.
Okay.
And then on the side of that, yes, they may have, Jordan may have gotten, benefited from that. But I bet it was way more white people that benefited from those taxes than it was How many Michael Jordans is it in the world?
Well, let's be real. Let's be real. Two things. First of all, there are way more white people in the country. There are way more wealthy white people in the country. So if you do something and the wealthy benefits from it, just by default, there's going to be more white folks that are going to benefit from it. That doesn't mean that's Trump's fault. That's just the numbers and the logistics of the country. Here's my point. I strongly believe that Trump is in a position in your mind that you truly would not give that man credit if he cured cancer. I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm not dispelling what some of the stuff you're saying, but you make it clear, even with the economy. Let's take your point that Trump inherited a good economy from President Obama. And I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
When Trump took office, the economy was in good shape. However, a year or two after Trump's in office, before the pandemic kicks in, the economy's still in good shape. Let's take the economy now. Let's contrast that to what Biden inherited from Trump. He inherited a pandemic. The economy was not doing well because things were closed. What did Biden do after taking the economy from Trump? It's gotten worse. The point I'm trying to make is, even if Trump inherited a good economy from Biden or from Obama, he has to get credit for not making it get worse. The economy under Trump did not fall in the tank as opposed to under Obama. If I give you an old relic of a car or something that's in good shape, and I come back 10 years later and you still got that car looking just as good as it was when I gave it to you, you get credit for that. I don't get to say, well, you inherited a good car. No, you kept it up. It could have rotted under you. Trump deserves credit for the time of how the country ran under his watch, no matter what he inherited, because he could have screwed it up. So that's why I'm saying you're not going to get this man credit for anything. You just don't like the man. I'm willing to entertain that he said some very controversial things, some things that I personally do not like. But I'm willing to give him credit where he's done something right. Let me ask you this question. Do you think he did anything good at all?
Oh, he sent a couple dollars when people were down and out.
Okay, all right. I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Look what he did for healthcare, though.
Look
at what he did for the people that needed healthcare.
Okay.
He tried to take it away from them.
Okay,
Look at
listen.
the people who needed the government to help them with food stamps and stuff. He tried to take it away from them. He wanted to send them back. He wanted to send them boxes.
Two questions. Do you support police? Somebody asked me to ask you that in the comments. Do you support police? And I got a bigger question after that, but do you support police?
I think when it comes to the police, I'll say this.
You're hesitant on this?
I'm not against the police. I just think that they need to, when you have people that are dealing with, when you get a call and it's someone that something's wrong with them up here, I just think you need to send someone with the police that is better to handle the situation than to send the police to just shoot them up because they made one wrong move.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question again. Do you support police? I get what you just said. Do you support police? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about the COVID vaccines? Coming from the left, we widely support the vaccine. I've been vaccinated twice and boosted. Do you, because the vaccine came from Trump, Operation Warp Speed. That is Trump's baby. No doubt about it. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. The vaccine that we use, Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson no longer in existence, but even Johnson & Johnson, all of this came from Operation Warp Speed in the Trump administration. Do you give the Trump administration credit for bringing us the vaccine, which the CDC claims has saved tens of millions of lives? Do you give Trump credit for that?
Now, I'll say this. I give him credit for that.
Okay. All right.
But, okay, it's a but behind that.
Oh, no.
I did not get stuck. You will not stick me with that.
Okay.
They did that. They took it out too fast. You know, I really think that to be honest with you, I think that the states, and we should have shut down a little bit longer, okay? It's my thoughts. I think we should have shut down a little bit longer and did a little bit more studies on this vaccine, because then we could have came up with a better vaccine that would actually help you instead of just basically mess you up. Because what I mean by mess you up is that if you right now have COVID, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Wow. Let me say this. Let me say this. Despite us going back and forth, you've driven the numbers sky. There's a lot of folks. I'm surprised that there's a lot of folks in this audience that agree with you. Let me just make that clear. And I see some of these folks in here are right wingers, and they're agreeing with you. So what you're saying, despite I'm on the other side of a lot of it, but screw me. There's a lot of folks in this audience that agree with some of the things you're saying, particularly when you just stated about the rushing out of the vaccine. There's a lot of folks that. By the way, let me ask the audience this real quick while the comments are going forward. In regards to her comments on the vaccine, just type in agree or disagree. How do you feel about what she just said? I'm asking that because there's a lot of comments that just came in that favors you. We're well over like 300 and some odd folks. And by the way, folks, get my likes up. There's an insane amount of you guys here. Go ahead and put me at 15,000. Tap your damn screen. Look at all of the agrees. Wow. This is what does that say? Javel Gomez agrees with you. Invisible hands. Oh my God, invisible hands. That sounds like a sex crime in the making. Agrees. Real trucker Jeff agrees with you. Camper Life 17 disagrees, and so does Run With 35. But Biggs are okay. That's interesting. I didn't expect that.
I really think.
Go ahead.
I really think that the vaccine was really more for the people who have money invested in it, and then for them to push it through as quick as they did. Come on now.
Oh, you gonna hit some home. You're gonna hit some home runs with this audience. Now I know what you just said right there is gonna resonate. That vaccine was predominantly a money maker for certain. Yeah. Go ahead though. Go ahead. You coming in strong.
And then they rushed it out, and it was like it takes 3 to 5 years. Come on now, it takes 3 to 5 years to come up with the actual vaccine that's gonna do its job. What was it? 8, 9 months?
Okay, well somebody is saying, please don't take vaccine advice from non-doctors they don't know. Well, she's not giving us advice. She's giving her opinion. I make it clear this is a no snowflake zone. I entertain any and all opinions. We don't run from shit. So I'm making that clear. She's not giving medical advice. She's giving her opinion. She's entitled to that. Free speech, folks. Free speech. She can say what she feels. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not telling anyone to run out there and get your vaccine. I'm not telling anyone not to go get your vaccine. You have your own choice. I made my choice. I didn't trust it. I'm not telling anyone else to run out there.
So
what really got me is that a lot of the people at CDC didn't even get the vaccine.
Wow.
Right now to this day.
Okay.
So it's like, excuse me if that doesn't speak in high volume.
Okay.
Come on now.
All right, damn. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to give you one redemption credit for that shit. Okay, you coming around. But listen, I got somebody else I want to get in. You don't drop so much. You don't gave me so much to digest. Let me get my tissue out. You don't affect my belly. I like you. Like I said, anytime, feel free to come on back to the program. You came in the fire. You put it out. Okay, much love to you. Come on back. There's audience members that don't agree with all of what you said. JP Parker, I appreciate that. But yeah, you come on back through, Miss Me. You got a little fire in you. You have a good night.
Thank you so much. You have a great day and be blessed.
Oh yeah, God bless you too. Absolutely. Okay, let me see what's going on. Oh, I had a request that just dropped off. Oh, I hated to get rid of. Miss Me was on fire. Miss Me didn't mind going through it, did she? Katie Meyer, thank you for those roses. Miss Me, oh shit. I mean, Miss Me came to this audience and came like that, and she brought it. She brought it, and I tried to roll with her. I put her through the fire and shit. I tell you, I'm sizzling over here. Thank you, Miss Me. Please tell her to stop lying, says Ricky New 53. Well, she gave her opinions on several issues. I'm going to obviously understand that her reference of Trump being a racist is not going to resonate with this crowd. But let's be clear, we all know in here that the vast majority of the African American community, her comments would resonate with them. Even someone like myself who's pointing out the metrics of Trump and I'm suggesting that Trump certainly ran the country better than Biden is currently. Yeah, I've made it clear that both him and Biden have said suspect shit. So, I mean, she brought it. She brought it. Everyone in here is entitled to their opinion. You don't have to agree with the opinions. That's what the No Snowflake Zone is about. But you can speak your mind. And I invite folks to come on. We can go with that. JoJo, what's on your mind? How you doing?
I just have a quick question for everybody out there, and I'm not looking for any fights, nothing like that.
No, there's nothing but love in here. There's nothing but love in here. What you got going on?
Honey, I was on a live last night. I was called every name under the sun. Anyway, now that the truth is out about election fraud by the GOP, how do you Americans feel about that?
What? Okay, I'm gonna say the same. I'm gonna give you the same response I give Trump supporters, right wingers, conservatives when they say that the Democrats did things like that. Where's your proof of this? Where's your proof that the GOP was and let's try to word it. I don't want TikTok to fuck with you. Nobody gets banned in here. If you get banned in social media, but let me stop you. Try not to throw election followed by fraud because I don't want TikTok to mess with you. That's all I'm asking. Okay, but explain. Where's your proof?
Have you been watching the news that all the proof is coming out that they had so many people that were behind saying that he won and he did not?
That's not fraud. That's him lying about his actual performance in the election.
Right. So now that everybody knows that he lied, that he did not win this election.
But that's not fraud. That is a lie. It's a different. Fraud is an act. Fraud is a criminal act. Lying and says you won when you didn't is not a crime. You're confusing lying with fraud, with an actual criminal act.
But by doing what they did, it's caused the problems of why no one's getting along here.
But it's not a crime. You're calling it fraud. You can call him divisive. You can call him divisive. You can call him dishonest. But you're saying he committed fraud. That is a different animal.
Okay, I agree with you on that. But what they've done as our government is illegal.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick. I got another viewer. He's on the opposite side of that. Are you willing to have him speak to you on this? I'm willing to let you guys go back and forth for a minute. He's going to be on the opposite side of you. Can you work with that? Is that okay with you?
As long as we can talk as adults and not attack each other.
That's all we do here. If he does that, I will take him off. That's all we do here. This is a loyal viewer of the program. He calls it all the time. I'm fine with that. Harris, you're on with her.
Sir.
Okay, go. Okay, what do you have to say to this guest?
Okay, so I'm going to agree with the host that saying something that they believed to be true is not fraud. Fraud is making one thing look a certain way and it completely being the exact opposite.
Oh my God! Somebody said F the host.
I agree. I didn't say it was fraud, but they all lied. They all lied, saying that
Your exact words were they committed fraud.
You did.
Committed fraud.
To me, lying is fraud. Sorry, I'm very honest.
But that's not the definition of fraud, though. So you're conflating the word fraud.
But you have at least they're saying close to 300 members of our government all lied to say he won this election and push the fact
that's their opinion.
Right.
Right.
But everybody
we're allowed to have opinions in this country.
Right, I agree, but everybody believes it, and that's why everybody's angry, because we think that Biden stole the election from him. That's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
Okay, but that's not a fraud.
Well,
it has nothing to do with fraud.
Listen, I'm no lawyer. I know nothing about legal or anything legality.
Obviously.
But neither do you.
Okay,
I don't know.
like someone. Okay, let me interrupt you guys. Like someone said in the comments. Okay, she's admitting that she used fraud incorrectly. We're fine about that. What else has she said, Harris, that you disagree with? She's okay. We kind of got it under wraps. It's not fraud. She doesn't. Go ahead.
The proof is out there. They all lied.
Okay, but that's not
everybody.
right. Exactly.
They said.
Okay. Let me make it clear before you hang on, Harris.
There is also
Okay, before you chime in, Harris, I will say this in regards to her comment that Trump lied about the election. Until we get some solid proof, she's correct. When he said he won by a landslide on election night, until we get some kind of proof from the courts or from the election bureau or committee or whatever, right now, he did not win by a landslide. There is no definitive proof, and it has not been ruled that way. So she is right about that. He didn't tell the truth, but it's not fraud. But he did not tell the truth by saying he won by a landslide. There's no evidence that he won by a landslide. Go ahead, Harris.
I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I mean, there's a lot of people that believe in their hearts that they saw evidence of election fraud.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's factual. I'm not going to go down that road. The host and I have talked about it before, but I do believe that there were issues with the election. Was it on both sides? Potentially. I think there were issues more on one side than the other, but I'm not going to specify because that's a whole can of worms I don't want to open right now.
Fair enough.
But when you say, I have this evidence that I believe to show a certain thing that you are saying is not true, right? That is not fraud. That is an opinion.
Well, where's Trump's evidence that it was fraud? The election was fraud.
Okay, let me stop you guys. Okay, I think JoJo has admitted that she used fraud, not necessarily in its depth. Let's get off of the word fraud. I don't want to keep teeter and tottering back and forth. We agree that officially it's not fraud. We all agree with that.
You're absolutely right. I should have said fraud. To me, it's fraud. But anyway, the fact
that's the problem with the conversation.
The fact that the truth is out, that he has been lying this whole time, and so have all his cronies have been lying, that they won this election because of fraud. He has no proof of fraud. They said there may have been some, but not enough to even overturn him to win, okay? Even if there was, okay? And there is no proof of fraud. So him going around saying that he won has caused this divisiveness in our country.
Okay.
This divisiveness was in this country. It was not caused by Trump saying. It was not Trump saying that the election was misinterpreted or the election went one way and it actually went the other way. The divisiveness was 4 years of people putting up pictures of Trump's decapitated head.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Assassinate him in a music video.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Here we go.
All right.
Of course, because you talk about divisiveness.
Wait a minute, Harris. Hold on, Harris. I gotta drop you, Harris. You gotta let my guest speak. Let me say this in regards to Harris. And Harris, I'm willing to have you back on, but you gotta let her talk. You guys are supposed to have a back and forth. You were dominating her. In regards to you talking about pictures of you're talking about what is her name? Kathy Griffin with Trump's head up. You gotta keep in mind, I've said this before, even though folks did not give Trump a fair shake, keep in mind, Trump spent the previous 2 or 3 years before he came in office not giving Obama a fair shake, saying that the guy was born in a foreign country and all of that. So the idea that Trump was going to get elected and folks are going to give him a fair shake when he clearly did the exact opposite for the last guy is kind of a pipe dream. JoJo, go ahead. And Harris, you will be back on next, but I'm going to have you separate. Go ahead, JoJo.
Now, it just, the reason I said the divisiveness now is because everybody is convinced that the election was stolen from Trump based on these lies. And it's not true. So, now that we all know it's not true, if you are a Republican, will you still vote for this man? And if you do, I'm sorry, I think you should be ashamed of yourself. This is, as an American, think about your country, not your party, not your country is in a demise.
Okay, I gotta counter you. I can't just let you get away with saying that. You believe that Trump suggesting he won the election when he didn't is divisive, and that is a reason why folks shouldn't vote for him. Is that correct?
Oh, no. I'm talking why we're so bad off now.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. Let's go with what you said. I have to ask you this question. You do realize before Trump started saying the election was stolen from him, we had Hillary Clinton saying the exact same thing. How do you feel about Hillary Clinton making the exact same allegations? Do you believe Hillary Clinton was divisive? Because she did the same thing that Trump did.
What did she do?
She claimed that the Russians helped Trump steal the election from her. He was impeached. His first impeachment is in regards to her allegations she made. Just like with Trump, there is no proof. It did not culminate. Hillary Clinton made very similar accusations that Trump did. Do you hold her accountable to the same degree of Trump?
No, because I believe what she said is right.
Well, then they believe what he said. Look, I'm not trying to defend Trump. I'm not trying to defend Hillary Clinton. I'm trying to get you to see both sides. Exactly how you feel about Hillary Clinton, these folks are passionate in the same manner as for President Trump. I'm not here to say your way is right and their way is wrong or vice versa. I'm just simply saying how you feel about Hillary Clinton, they feel the same way about Trump. Go.
Well, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. I never voted in my life, and I felt I had to vote, and I voted for Hillary Clinton because I knew where I was going in this country.
Nothing wrong with you
I
voting.
saw what was happening.
There's nothing wrong with you voting for your candidate of choice. I'm just simply saying you're making it sound like you support Hillary Clinton's claims, even though those were unproven as well, and all of a sudden Trump is dividing the country and his is wrong. I'm just simply saying they both did it. Go ahead.
There's proof, though.
There is no proof. No, there's not. Mueller performed an investigation, a year or longer, and he came out and stated, we can't prove that Trump did not do this, but we can't prove that he did. There is no definitive proof. Thank you, Southwest Florida. Appreciate those roses. No, there is no proof.
He has too many ties to Russia, number one, okay? Number one. We know that, okay? We know that. There's too many ties. And since when does America support Putin or Russian or communism? I mean, since when? Now. We never did before. We never did before.
That has nothing to do with the election, though. In my opinion, you're kind of similar to my previous call. You just don't like Trump. I think if I had to give
No. When he was elected, like I said to you, I've never voted before until I felt I had to with 2020. I felt I had to. So now, when he was elected, like any president, I gave him a fair shake. I gave him a chance. And I could give two shits about politics, to be quite honest. I never got involved until the last 2 years because of what's been happening with our country. So, number two is that, oh, wait a minute, I was going to say something about, oh, shit, I'm sorry. I lost my train.
Okay. All right, well, listen, I do got somebody else that wants to get in here. We tried to make it...
Good. Listen, I appreciate you're not attacking me. Thank you very much.
That is the goal. That is the goal. Yes.
All I can say, if I could end on something.
Go for it.
People, please think of your country. Please think of your country. Please. We have to save our country. We are going nowhere fast. And we are, if we couldn't even survive COVID, you think we're going to survive a World War III? Come on.
Well, let me...
That's what I was going to say about when COVID happened, I said, I'm going to give him the chance to prove himself. And he did not. Okay? He did not. That's all I was going to say. Okay.
Well, you have a good evening. Anytime, come on back through. Like I said, I appreciate you giving your opinion. Even if your opinion is unpopular with the crowd, you're here for this purpose. Thank you for coming through. You have yourself a good night. Come on back anytime. All right?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. No, we don't attack guests in here. By the way, I do see someone waiting. We don't attack guests in here. We let them get their opinion through. Just a real quick response to her comment where she said, folks, you think of your country when you make your decisions. My response to you, ma'am, would be they are. They're just making different decisions than you. They believe that their country under President Biden is going in the wrong direction. They are thinking of their country. They're just seeing it differently from you. Let's see in regards to the comments. Harris, give me 1 quick second. I'm neglecting a whole lot of comments here. We do have to save it. That's why we need Trump. See, that's exactly what I'm saying is that they feel just like you, ma'am, but they feel that way from the other side. And that came from Nick Kip 316. Trump is not a career politician. He's a businessman who's literally aiming to make the country money. Testament. Thank you, Katie Meyer. Look, folks, when you guys send roses and shit like that, it definitely makes me feel good. Absolutely, you know, a guy with a name like mine prefer to talk to an audience like this. I don't expect a lot of shit, but when you guys do that, it's touching. Definitely, thank you, Katie Meyer. Certainly get my likes up. Maybe we can reach 20,000. Is that fucking possible? Brooke, old girl, you guys are sending bouquets. Holla at your boy. Are you saying, JP Parker, thank you. JP, thank you, friend of the program. Are you saying Russia? Shit, I'm wearing crowns now. You guys on fire. Are you saying Russia did not interfere in our election? That came from GS Captain 45. I personally, as a liberal, believe Russia interfered in our election. But did they interfere on Trump's behalf? That has not been proven. We interfere, particularly Hillary Clinton, the Clintons, whether it was Bill or Hillary, interfered in a past election. Oh shit, I like the hat. Interfered in a past election for involving Vladimir Putin. So they had a beef to pull with us. If you do your research, America has interfered in Russian elections, trying to get the person or the candidate of choice elected. So we interfere with a lot of elections, by the way. JP got me wearing apparel too. Thank you. So we've done this. So did Russia return the favor and try to interfere in our election? I believe that is very possible. But did they interfere on Trump's behalf? We do not have enough proof. And by the way, if Russia did interfere in our election, let's say Russia interfered in our election and they did try to get Trump elected, you can't blame that on Trump. You got to prove that Trump actually solicited their help and was a co-conspirator in the crimes that they were committing. There's no proof of that. Brooke, thank you, Brooke. So you can hate on Trump, Southwest Florida. What the hell's going on tonight? These guys are pretty good. You can say that Russia interfered in our election. That may have happened, but that's not the issue. The issue is, did Trump work with the Russians in that interference? There's no proof of that. There's no evidence of that. I'm growing sunflowers and shit. What the hell is happening tonight? Thank you for that rose. TikTok jail. Let's try not to go there. TikTok jail. Okay, back to the comments. Party favors and shit. What the? Oh, wait a minute. Angie Hot Takes. You said there is proof. Proof that Trump colluded with the Russians. Why didn't Mueller produce that? Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the TikTok, JP Parker. Tell me, if there is proof that Trump colluded with the Russians, a year-long investigation by the FBI, why didn't that come out? Tell me. I need to know that. I got glasses on and shit. What is going on? Good talk, fellow American. Thanks. G63 Gilbert, that's what we're here for. We're here to exchange ideas with the other side. This is not an echo chamber. If you're right, this is not Fox. This is not CNN. This is not OAN. This is the other side. Same thing if you're on the left. You guys got me going nuts over here. Got me going nucking fucks. Thank you. Damn, I feel like a king over here. Damn, you guys are great. Watch 2,000 News. Tightwire 377. Is that out yet? Is that because I am eager to see 2,000 Mules. That is supposed to show how screwed up the election is. I am eager to see that. Is that out yet? Because I'm highly anticipating seeing that. We'll do a show on that because I want to talk about that. And by the way, hopefully you guys are going to be watching that soon. God bless President Biden. There's nothing wrong with that, El Shorty. He is an American citizen. In fact, I would hope that God blesses all his children. Not just Americans, but yeah, I agree with that. We all know Trump will cheat and white supremacist is his base. That is way overkill. Black King 2024, you really believe that all Trump supporters, all MAGA, are white? I mean, that's horrible. I can't entertain that. Is there white supremacists among Trump's base? Yeah, just like there are African-American racists among the liberal base. But all of them? That's a horrible comment. Why not vote MAGA because you believe in protecting the sanctity of life? Why not vote MAGA because you believe you should have Second Amendment rights? You're going to tell me that there's no other reason to be down with MAGA, a Republican and conservative, other than just racism? That's a bad comment. That's the best way I can sum that up. That's a bad comment. Mueller did the same thing as KGB. Didn't fall for the okie doke. Nancy, boo boo. Thank you. Congress want Mueller to do it. Mueller did the same thing as KGB. He didn't fall for the okie doke. Double up 777. I know you lean left. Mueller came back and stated that he cannot definitively exonerate Trump, but he stated there is not enough proof to convict him. So until I see a conviction, I have to be fair on both sides. This is the same argument I give for those who suggest that Trump actually won and the liberals or whoever stole it from him. Until I see definitive proof, it's just an allegation. And that would apply to the idea that Trump took the 2016 election from Hillary Clinton. It is just proof. It's just an allegation. And that was a lengthy investigation against President Trump. The investigation in regards to what happened in 2016 is still ongoing. If Trump wins in 2024, there's going to be more shit coming out. Katie. Katie with that train. Is that the Trump train? But yeah, there was a lengthy investigation by Mueller against Trump, and he was not convicted. So the idea that Trump took the election or something like that, or even colluded with the Russians in 2016, I need to see something. Right now, the investigation is closed. He has been exonerated to some degree. He has been exonerated is what I'm saying. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy Boo Boo. I don't know what kind of flower that was, but thank you. Yes, it is. That is a Trump train, Katie Meyer said. I want liber capitalism. Johnny Sins. What is liber capitalism? I'm assuming you're saying you're part libertarian, all capitalist. What is liber? Let's try this once more. Got my boy coming back in. Trump minimize immigration to attempt to avoid upcoming white minority. What the hell? Your comment got pushed up. White minority status. Trump minimized immigration hang on, Harris. Trump minimized immigration to attempt to avoid upcoming white minority status. I understand your argument, Black King, is that you're talking about the browning of America. But you're suggesting that to prevent America from going too brown, Trump is trying to minimize immigration. So you're definitely categorizing him as a racist. Keep in mind, the vast majority of folks that are allowing these illegal immigrants to come into this country are white. So just want to keep that in mind. Go ahead, Harris. What's up? Harris, are you with me? Harris, I got you on video. I can see you. What's up? What's up? Can you hear me, though? I don't hear any audio. Okay. I can clearly see you, though.
You guys can hear me, but I can't hear anything.
Okay, we can hear you. I don't want to sound like George Bush on the rubble of 9/11, but I can hear you. These people can hear you, and we all want to hear, but you can't hear us then, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and scratch you. Try it again. Maybe it's your equipment, because we had video of you, too. Trumpsters, what does this say here? Illegals don't belong here. I agree with that whatever that said. I agree, illegals don't belong here. Intelligence report, Russia tried to help Trump in the 2020 election. Okay, Danica, you said the Russians tried to help Trump. I'm fine with that, but that does not convict Trump. Trump could have been just an innocent benefactor of the Russians wanting him as president. That doesn't mean he colluded with them. That's what you got to prove, is that Trump colluded with the Russians. And to this day, that has not been proven. Salvage, I see you on YouTube. Some reason okay, let's see what's going on here. Who do you think would be a good candidate for Republicans to run for president? That came from Stedloff Marie. Ron DeSantis by far. Reason I say Ron DeSantis, and I understand the audience I'm talking to. These folks are not a big fan of me going against Trump. Ron DeSantis, I say it all the time, every night. Remember the old beer commercials, tastes great, less filling. With Ron DeSantis, you get all of the same traditional legislation you got coming from Trump. Trump's biggest downfall was the tweets. Remember, as Republicans, true Trump supporters often say, I would love to have back some mean tweets and $1.50 gas. So they're admitting the mean tweets fucked them up. If you put DeSantis in office, you get the great legislation you liked of Trump without the mean tweets. Tastes great, less filling. Tastes great as the legislation that you like, that you've come to love from Trump. Less filling is the unnecessary calories, which are the mean tweets, the insults. You put Ron DeSantis in office. Also, I say this on every broadcast. Under Trump, you have a group of folks, not liberals, Republicans, that are referred to as the never Trumpers. The Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys, the McCain families, the Reagan families, the Carly Farinas, the Bush families. They don't like Trump. Under a Ron DeSantis presidency, the never Trumpers disappear and they come back to the party and the whole thing comes together like a Lego set. Under Trump, you got division within the Republican Party. You even have Liz Cheney flirting with running as an independent. All of that goes away under Ron DeSantis. I strongly believe Ron DeSantis is the best candidate for the Republican side. Good question on YouTube. Okay, mute at the bottom maybe. No, I heard, you're talking about in regards to Harris Jordan, his audio or something. You guys can hear me fine, right? Let me make sure. You guys, I'm assuming, can hear me. So it was something going on with him. We don't want never Trumpers. Southwest Florida, keep America great. You may need them though. You don't have to want them. You need those votes. All it is, we can do it all around. America's a country that everyone gets to speak. This is where fuck your feelings is a bad thing. You need people. The MAGA crowd cannot do this alone. There's too many non-MAGA crowd. And when you keep saying stuff like that, and the F your feelings, you're losing people in your crowd. Right now, Trump's not on Twitter. That's not helping him out. Hopefully Elon Musk, if Trump is worth his salt, is probably begging to put him back on there. But how many folks are going to turn 18 between 2020 when Trump left office and 2024 when he gets reelected? Those new voters, they're not watching OAN. They're not watching Fox News. They're not tuned into Newsmax. You know where they are? Those young voters? They're on social media. Trump needs to be on social media. Screwing over people, getting folks pissed off at you and getting taken off of valuable platforms to speak to the people is not good for him. So when you say we don't need never Trumpers, my response to you is yes, you do. Yes, you do. Trump asked Putin for help against Biden and Son. We saw that. But is there any definitive proof where he actually reached out other than that camera statement when he said that? Because he also talked to, you're talking about Biden. He said the same thing during the Clinton administration. But just simply saying that is not a crime. It's inappropriate in my opinion. Like the woman was talking about the difference between fraud and an actual crime. I'm not a fan of it, but it's not an actual crime. Okay, we're gonna try this again, Harris. Any thoughts on Obama chuckling about testing on billions?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Obama chuckling about testing on billions. What? I heard, something, I heard something about that. I'm not totally aware of exactly what's going on. Okay, Trump kept the peace. USA love God. Did you see the summer of 2020 with all of the Black Lives Matter rallies or riots? Trump didn't keep the peace. Harris, can you hear me? Harris.
I can hear you. I just have a little bit of an echo on my end.
Okay, we can hear you loud and clear. What's going on? Harris, I'm assuming you're... Go ahead.
The Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC admitted that they hired Fusion GPS to make up the opposition research that made up the dossier.
When did this happen? When did you suggested that they admitted this? When did this take place?
This happened in October 25th, 2017 on a CNN article. Okay.
Why did nothing culminate from this under the Trump administration? 2017, he had not even lost the midterms yet. So this happened, according to you. She made this confession, or this came out while Trump still had a Republican Senate and Republican Congress. Why wasn't she called to testify before Congress or anything that came out of this? Thank you, TikTok. See those roses.
Because they couldn't.
She confessed and they couldn't do anything about it? You care to elaborate on that?
It was under investigation.
Okay, what happened with the investigation? Trump was president for 3 more years after 2017.
It's still under investigation. That's part of the Durham report.
Okay. All right. Well.
Operation CrowdStrike.
I gotta go with Lisa. I don't think there's anything there for that. And certainly under a Biden administration, with the investigation.
Get an article.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Get an article.
I hear what you said. I'm just going to tell you what I tell you every time you bring this up. That's not going to go anywhere. And just like in any kind of law case, the longer something goes on, the more likely it is of not having any type of successful outcome. I've said this several times. Hillary Clinton's not going to do a day in jail for this. That's my take on it. What do you think is going to ultimately happen with this? Harris, your audio or something.
Probably not.
Okay, Harris, I'm gonna have to drop you because something's off with your audio. The delay is excessive. I mean, I'm finishing up my question or my correspondence to you, and it's taking you 5 or 6 seconds or longer to respond. So something's going on with that. It can't and that's a good point. ZTIG, something like that. It can't with the Dems running the House. But according to him, this came out in 2017. So according to him, for 3 years under the Trump administration, because Trump did not leave until January of 2021. So if this came out in 2017, there's a lot of years that this took place under the Trump administration too, and we got nothing out of it. Now he's saying it's still ongoing. So maybe so. Thank you for that crane, Kim Royale. Thank you for that. I'm just going to say what I often say. I'm not defending Hillary Clinton, folks. I am not defending Hillary Clinton, just like I don't defend Hunter Biden. These folks like to get paid. And that is the method of operation in Washington, D.C. They all got underhanded schemes and scams here and there. For the most part, if there is not a loss of life or a sex crime committed, and even sometimes they get away with the damn sex crimes, but if there's not a loss of life or a sex crime committed, for the most part, the elite in Washington will get away with it. It is what it is, particularly when you're talking about at the presidential level. These are not the kind of people that go to jail. Keep in mind, Hillary Clinton, both Hillary Clinton and the Biden family, they both got a long, long history. Nanny Boo Boo, thank you for that. Both of these families, the Clintons and the Bidens, have a long history in Washington politics. They could pick up the phone and start calling in favors until 2023. These folks are not going to jail. They could get letters of recommendation longer than a CVS receipt. They are not going to jail. So any of this lock her up or lock Hunter Biden up type shit, it's just a pipe dream. Not saying that there may not be something there. I'm just going to make it clear to you, they will never do a day in jail. Hillary Clinton will die an old, wealthy woman free. She will lie in state in the Capitol building with a lot of dignitaries coming in saying positive shit about her. Get that out of your mind that this woman is going to get locked up. It is not ever going to happen. And it's just a matter of how much money we're willing to spend chasing this fairy tale. Not saying that she's innocent at all. I'm just telling you, you need to look at this from a realistic point of view. These folks don't go to jail. Trump loves the uneducated on New York Living. I believe that's a quote. I believe he said that. Turn my world one. You said wrong. Wrong in regards to you believe Hillary Clinton's going to get locked up, or you believe she's totally innocent in what she's being charged with. Like I said, we don't run from comments, no snowflakes on, but I do have to ask you, elaborate on that. What about what I just suggested is wrong? Let me know. As long as the Dems own the House. Well, the Dems are not going to own the House in about, what is this, the 4th month of the year? The 11th month is November, so 7 months, a little bit over 6 months. The Dems won't own the House much longer. They're going to lose in the midterms. Certainly the Senate is gone, and I believe the Republicans will be extremely competitive in terms of taking back the House as well. We'll see. Trump will never support, Johnny Sins. Trump will never support LGBTQ. Let me ask you guys this. Because that's a pretty strong accusation. When it comes to President Trump and the LGBT community, I just want you to type in support or not support. How do you think Trump views the LGBT community? Supportive or not supportive? I want to see where your mindset is on this. I know this crowd. I know who I'm talking to, but I want to see, what do you guys think? Do you think he's supportive of the LGBT community or not supportive? Let me see. I just want to see. Not supportive says Angie Hot Takes. Graham Noor says not supportive. Wow. Cricket 4 says he did. He did how? The Gay Marriage Act was passed under Obama. So what did he do? In Lim says neither. I don't know what that means. Swiftness says support. And so does Kelly Kemp. So a couple of you do believe Trump is supportive of the LGBT community. Tommy World, Termite World, you're saying you love Trump. There's nothing wrong with loving your candidate of choice. I make it clear there's legitimate reasons to vote liberal or conservative, to vote for Trump or Biden. There are legitimate reasons to vote both ways. So support he already did, says R4 Red. I would ask in what manner. Because, and the reason I'm asking this question is because just like with African Americans, regardless of what you think Trump thinks about minorities like African Americans or the LGBT community, for some reason, those communities do not think Trump supports them. You can have your opinion on this. I'm fine with that. Why do you believe, in your own humble opinion, whether it's the media or whatever the hell you want to throw out there, why do you think so many minority communities feel like they're getting no love from Trump? And we can go into Biden and all of that, you ain't black stuff later on, but right now we're talking about Trump. The African American community, the LGBT community, the Middle Eastern community, they got their beliefs that this guy is not supportive of them. Why do you believe that? Wow, G6 Jesse said he called us rapists. That's a really straightforward answer. And obviously he mentioned rapists and murderers. That's a straightforward answer. Southwest Florida, keep America great, Hollywood. You're suggesting that Hollywood has African Americans, Middle Easterners, and LGBT thinking that Trump does not support them. Hollywood, really? I would have been more willing to lean on the media, but Hollywood, huh? Trump loves the uneducated. We get you, New York living. They are brainwashed. That's a bone mommy. For lack of a better term, I would say that's an insulting comment. You don't think that the LGBT community as a whole can determine whether somebody cares about them enough? They're just brainwashed. The whole community, the whole African American community is brainwashed. They're just not smart enough to think on their own. I would say that's an insulting comment. Can I join the live? Swiftness, yes, you may. The media, what did that say there? The media, I didn't see that. Damn TikTok. Let me make it clear, but hang on a second, Swiftness. Let me make something clear. I don't run from you guys' comments. This is a no snowflake zone. Don't ever think that you said something that is too raunchy for your host to tackle. You can tell me to fuck off. I make it clear. I respond to any and all comments. When I'm in these groups, there's a lot of passion from the respondents. So comments are flying up and I'm trying to catch them. But if I don't respond to you, it's just because I didn't see it. Swiftness, what's going on?
Thanks for letting me join, Mr. Handsome Liberal.
Okay, very formal, very formal. Go ahead.
This is your conservative Canadian up here, up top.
Okay.
So I love getting into American debates and politics, and the reason why is because of our own Prime Minister.
Trudeau.
Well, the problem is, yeah, Trudeau, it's true, though. He's an idiot. But Trudeau, yeah. So whatever president's in power, be Republican or Democrat, he puts on a different mask up here, and he'll appease to whichever power is below us in the United States there. So I am so pro-Trump because when Trump is in power, our, liberal leader was wearing the biggest conservative Republican mask he ever did see, even though he's a liberal.
Let me ask you a question. Let me just interrupt. Where in Canada are you from? Somebody asked where you from, Saskatchewan. I'm just wondering, where in Canada are you from?
I'm from the far west coast, BC.
Okay, over Vancouver. Okay, all right, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Vancouver area. So I just love watching what happens down in the States. Up here we're blasted with free CNN news, and we don't get Fox News at all. Me and my wife, we actually pay to get Fox News, and I love watching the different perspectives on how both channels show the things that are happening. Donald Trump is the only one to basically hop on there and say talk about our leader during a Canadian convoy. You know, and he made it very clear that he himself did not want anything really to do with Justin Trudeau because he's a moron.
Let me ask you this question. You're obviously saying that you're a right winger. You live in Canada. You support the policies of Trump. I want to ask you about, because you guys have universal health care. Am I correct?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I've been waiting. Yeah, we have universal health care, but even Donald Trump says it's not as great as you guys think it is. You want extremely long lineups. You want extremely long backlogs. I'm still waiting for my MRI results from, I got in on a cancellation for an MRI Easter morning, and I booked it down to the hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was back to try to get up before the kids noticed the Easter Bunny was here. So, I'm still waiting for my results. I'm still walking around with a bump back or a sore hip, whatever you want to call it. I can still go if I need to go. Let's not forget that. But anyway, just saying, it's not as nice as you guys think it is.
Well,
I do strongly believe in a two-tier healthcare system. We still have private care, but they've taken it away from kids in my province, which is horrendous. But I do believe in a two-tier system of healthcare. But our public care is not as good as you think it is.
okay, real quick, there's comments coming. I'm going to respond to somebody. Jimmy31925, you said nothing to say handsome. I didn't see your comment. I'm listening to the caller at the same time. I'm trying to scroll in. In regards to you, Swiftness, and by the way, Jimmy, no, I'm not ignoring comments. I just didn't see whatever the hell you're talking about. So I'm not ignoring your comment. Retype it. Swiftness, in regards to you saying that the long lines and things like that exist in regards to universal health care in Canada, I understand a long line taking days, months, or whatever to get your procedure or whatever, or to see a medical professional is not only is it an annoyance, it could be an issue with health concerns. But what about folks who do not have health care insurance at all? Like, and I'm talking about that in regards to America. In America, we're being told, well, you don't want a system like that because it's going to give you long lines and things like that. As you say, it's not as great as you think it is. Well, if I have no health care at all, a long line is still better than nothing at all. So that's what I'm trying to get across to you.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have to get that across to me. I couldn't agree with you more in that perspective of things. So the way I'm not too sure if Obamacare worked for everybody down there or not. I don't know what President Trump was trying to establish. I do think that they definitely do need to have a free universal health care plan for North America wide. I think we all need to gather together and try to find some type of political party that shows actions.
So you actually do support a universal health care plan then?
Oh, I do. I'm just saying it's not as great as everyone says.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, like I say, I'm not saying it's great. Like some of the folks in the comments are saying, anything. Somebody said, "I'm done with your TikTok. That spamming troll needs to be banned." Who the hell? Don P. Who's spamming you? I didn't see that. I see you on YouTube. But anyway, some of you guys said, "Not if you have a life-threatening illness, you can't wait." In regards to universal health care, the lines, and what you just said there, Carolyn, about not being able to wait. Keep in mind, universal health care is meant to address folks who have nothing at all. So long lines are not desirable. I understand that. And as you pointed out, in some cases, it can lead to a loss of life. But we're comparing this to having nothing at all. Somebody also suggested keep it privatized. No universal health care. What did that say? Have you seen the lines at the DMV? Folks who are pointing out the mismanagement of universal health care, the lines, or keeping it privatized, you are individuals that have the ability to get some alternate form of health care. For people who have nothing at all, that stuff is not that big of a hindrance to them. You're giving them a choice between those annoyances that you don't like or nothing at all. So you're not thinking about those people. You're thinking about yourself. Go ahead, Swift.
So Canadian healthcare is kind of like a big giant triage. You know, when you check into emergency at the hospital, you could be sitting there with a broken nose, you could be sitting there with a broken arm, and they need to decipher who's more important. That's the whole entirety of the Canadian healthcare system. So it's a giant triage, and I do respect many people needing to step in front of the line in front of me. Even if I've been in the line for 30 days and they come in 30 seconds, by all means, man, you need more help than I do. Absolutely. I do believe in the two-tier system as well. I do believe that those doctors make the choice if they want to go private or if they want to go public. They make that decision freely as they're able to do. Just to be able to pay to see a doctor and spend an hour with a doctor, not just 10 minutes, is an option that you can have. And there's a lot of flake doctors, quack doctors up here who just like to refer you to another doctor. So you hop into another line, and then you hop into another line. And it kind of seems like they're all in queue with each other just to keep billing the government from a patient perspective of, you look at these guys, you're like, okay, that just probably cost me somehow or somebody $500 for this 2-minute visit. Next customer. Oh, you need to see my buddy over here. So you go into another specialist. It's kind of like sometimes you kind of feel like you're getting bounced around so they can continue to keep making money and billing the government on the public sector. Private sector, they don't.
Well, in regards to, and I get your point, government waste and folks gaming the system. I don't think strictly going private healthcare is going to stop that, because there are folks who incorrectly bill Medicare now, even in a totally private system. I mean, let's face it, people are going to find ways to impose schemes and scams. So I get what you're saying, doctors bouncing around and make more money and stuff like that, but they're going to do that no matter you got a privatized system or a public system. There's going to be corrupt people in any large system.
Also, I wanted to add the point, if I may, about private sectors and the queues in the public sectors shrinking because a lot of people are getting the benefit of working hard for their own money and be able to pay their hard-earned money to see someone privately and keep away from the lineup and add to the lineup in the public sector. So a lot of the times when you're dealing with private, you're dealing with like very extreme professionals, and these guys are top notch in the private sector, and honestly, the results are a lot more when you're paying for them. Generally speaking, that is going to be in any business, that if you're willing to pay top dollar, you're going to get access to the best. I don't care if it's a car mechanic, you're going to get access to the best. But the reason we create universal healthcare systems is to address people who cannot afford to do that. Because if you allowed, we're both living in capitalist countries. I understand some of my right-wingers don't think Canada's a capitalist, but we're both living in capitalist countries. And under the capitalism mantra, the goal is to inflate your bottom line. Everything about capitalism is making money. So if you take any professional, doctors included, in the capitalist system, their number one goal is to make money. So if you leave them to their own devices, they're going to go to folks who can afford to pay the most for healthcare, which leaves the poor people without. That's what's kind of been happening. But at the end of the day, no matter what we come up with, whether we have a totally privatized system or a hybrid or universal healthcare, poor people are always going to get the worst shit. That's just the way a capitalist system works. Things are never going to be equal for people at the bottom. They will always get the short end of the stick, because in a capitalist system, the focus is on money, and the people with the money is going to get the best parts of everything. Go ahead. So how does the states work for your guys' Medicare system? Do you guys you have to? So if you break your leg and you don't have insurance, you're getting billed $1 million, and they're going to come take your house, your car, and you're going to be making payment plans on checks being gouged, or do you guys have some type of care? Like I know you guys are in different types of insurance, but is there public health care at all, or is every state different with different procedures and rules? How does it work?
Okay, for Roll Tide, by the way, I do see you, so I'm gonna wrap this up and get Roll Tide here in a minute. But in regards to the United States, we're essentially 50 different countries operating as one. So there are, just like in Europe, there's numerous countries in the EU. America's very similar to that. So it does change from state to state. Whether you can even get universal health care, depending on how much income you make. Certain states will tell you, well, If a family of four is making $15,000 a year, you don't qualify. Another state may say, well, you can make as much as $30,000. So it changes from place to place. However, we do have laws in place that if you are facing a medical emergency, this is even illegal immigrants. If you walk into an emergency room with a medical emergency, they cannot turn you away. They have to treat you to at least stabilize you. The problem falls under preventative care. Like, I'm gonna be candid. I had a colonoscopy not long ago. Something like that you may not be able to get if you do not have some form of health care. They don't treat you if you're about to die. You walk in with a bullet wound or you just been ran over by a bus or some shit. Yeah, they'll treat. It's the preventative care that helps prevent you from facing medical emergencies where you will face difficulty obtaining if you do not have some form of universal health care. You may start having hard time getting diabetes supplies or high blood pressure meds and stuff like that. So that's why you need a universal healthcare system, because we are already caring for folks who are dealing with medical emergencies. You have to care for those folks. But it would be cheaper if you could give them preventative care to prevent them from ever reaching that stage. But the way we have the system now, certainly before Obamacare, there was very little preventative care for citizens wanting that. Go ahead, I'll let you get the last word. I do have someone else going in, but go ahead.
Well, I want to say, man, send me a follow. It's always nice to have new friends. We're your Canadian buddies up here. I'll always support our big brother neighbors below us. It seems like we'd rather go to war and hand out juicy fruit and tell everyone our beer is stronger, and you guys will literally pull the triggers. But nonetheless, man, like I said, man, we have the world's biggest border, and we all can basically just walk across and give each other a hug from time to time. And yeah, man, I do agree with a lot of things you say. It directly affects everyone, even up here. My ears hurt listening to some of the pain that you guys go through down there, and I know it's vice versa. And yeah, man, thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Anytime. Come on back anytime. Okay. There was a request. Oh, he dropped. Oh, we had another guy now. Let him know we were going to go. Let me read some of the comments. Molson beer. I don't know what that is. I don't drink, by the way. Your beer is stronger, though. Okay. Communism is cancer. You're suggesting that the beer in Canada is stronger. Bro, you ignored Medicare and Medicare in. Look, we've had Medicaid and Medicare, and obviously folks are complaining. What you're suggesting that there was no reason for Obamacare because Medicare or Medicaid was enough. Clearly it was not. Clearly it was not. Even a lot of Trump supporters, which is why Trump had such a difficult time repealing and replacing Obamacare. Even a lot of right-wingers admit that the shit we have, even now it's not that great, but it's pretty clear in hindsight that what Obama passed was necessary. When Vice President Biden whispered in his ear, this was a big effing deal. Apparently that was true. And that's a legacy for President Obama that, yeah, he deserves credit for. The system is broken for sure. Nanny boo-boo, 100% on a number of levels. Taxes, criminal justice, healthcare, hell, the jobs market. There's a number of a number of systems in this country that are broken. Excellent comment. But we give free healthcare to illegal aliens. Do they even use it, though? As an illegal immigrant, a lot of these folks don't even want to risk showing up to a medical professional because they may get turned in. In the liberal states, perhaps, but if I was injured in Texas, I wouldn't want to go to a hospital if I was an illegal immigrant. You'd be lucky not to come out of there in handcuffs. I appreciate the follow, Jav, have something like that. Hey, folks, Monday through Friday, we come on in here and we get it done. Like I said, we don't run from any opinion. My audience is preferably MAGA, but as you can see, we give liberals equal time on the microphone. Feel free to follow the channel. This is for the politically savvy crowd, the ones who want to get their opinion across. This is not an echo chamber. So if you're from the right, you're talking to the left. If you're from the left, you're going to hear from the right. This is not an echo chamber. You're not just going to hear people saying what you want to hear in here. This is all about reaching across the aisle. Follow the channel, folks. I'm going to wrap this up in a few more minutes. I do have to get prepared for work tomorrow, just like everyone else. Where is Trump's health care plan? UBI 2060, go ask John McCain. Remember, he gave the thumbs down. He destroyed Trump's dreams of repealing and replacing Obamacare, which is why, to this day, Trump has a beef with John McCain. one more here. Let me see here. What does that say? Matt, my few, make it happen. I see your comment. My few, make it happen. I like you, but insults here are off the charts. Says USA Love God. Um, listen, I don't hide from the fact that it's a no snowflake zone. I cannot control the commentators. I don't like to moderate because I like for folks to have free speech. You're going to get some insults. I would hope that they can roll off here a little bit. I don't want folks going into the racial element. I don't want any anti-LGBT slurs and things like that. But you're going to get called a libtard or something every now and then. Hell, I encourage, if you feel that way about me, throw it at me. But elaborate on what you're talking about. But I wish I could control that a little bit more, but it is what it is. Your gifts were off the chart tonight. Good job. Thank you, Don P. I saw that on YouTube. Yeah, this crowd was incredibly generous tonight. Some of you guys must be smoking something. I have never seen that kind of generosity in here. Swiftness. Thank you. Just was a recent caller there for a minute ago. JP, you've been, man, I don't even know what to say, man. Generosity has been crazy tonight. This MAGA crowd, I've seen some liberals in there just, crazy stuff. And like I said, USA Love God, sorry about the insults. Ain't nothing I can do about that. And this is a crowd where you are allowed to freely speak your political assertions in here or the way you feel politically. Some folks are going to disagree with that. And some folks are not as good, not as savvy in the world of debating as others. So some folks don't know how to come that way without going off the deep end with the insults. There's not a lot more I can say about it other than that. Nanny Boo Boo got me with that purple gear on. Thank you for that TikTok hat. And yeah, you would say I know, but it's basic respect. Man, like I said, I'm not a fan of folks going off topic and launching personal attacks. I make it clear that I didn't like that coming from number 45. But we live in a world where folks kind of speak their mind by using personal insults and personal attacks. I mean, how many folks refer to the president as sleepy? That has nothing to do with him running the office. Folks like that type of stuff, which is also why I strongly believe that even though I say DeSantis would be a better candidate for the Republican ticket, I think he would be boring to most of my MAGA folks because you guys like that, insulting the tweets and stuff like that. And DeSantis would come in there, although he's giving you the same great policies of Trump, he's boring. He's not in front of you calling nervous Nancy and crazy, but that's what gets the crowd going. You're not going to get that from DeSantis. So I do believe that if DeSantis became the Republican nominee, a lot of Republicans would find him as boring. He would be more like a typical politician. Rumps swab. I don't know what that means. Ignorance is the best excuse for not knowing a damn thing, says Buck Fighting. Okay, Buck Fighting. I get it. Okay, fair enough. Trump was fun. Exactly, Bone Mommy. Folks think that Trump was fun. He enjoyed that. So it is what it is. Love your program. Nanny Boo Boo, thank you. Come on back anytime for you guys who do like this type of back and forth, particularly with an educated audience. Like I said, I hate the insults. Love God mentioned that. Nothing I can do about that. But for folks who like discussing politics in an open forum where you're never going to get banned, no snowflake zone, we tackle and accept all comments, follow the channel. I'm glad I met you too, USA Love God. I do appreciate that. I will definitely be back to see your show, says Testament. Good shit. Appreciate all you guys. All right, well, listen, I'm going to wrap it up. I do got to get some sleep. You guys have been really good, really passionate. We'll do it all over again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time. That was crazy. Oh, I did not know I'm still on here. So you guys are watching this.